All right, ladies and germs. Y'all know the drill. Where you from? Where you at? What are you doing? So I read through those of y'all that seen the last video I posted. I read through the letter that Triller's representation at legal counsel sent the IBF. It does look like they've been found in default, at least it sounds like it, because they're protesting they're not just going after. Oh, as you can see, the jacket came in. Y'all know, those of y'all that been following the channel for the last 3 days, y'all know I've been waiting for the jacket. This is the jacket right here. Money well spent, I'd say. Look at that Sherlin. Look at that collar. Look at that interior. It's magnificent. You know what I'm saying? And it looks like Triller has been found in default. It does look that way. It looks like they're not just going after the it looks like they're not just going after. I got the swiggity. I got the swiggity shine. I get the swiggity. It was money well spent. Now I have it in every color. I got it in beige. I got it in black. I got it in blue. I got it in light blue. And if they come out with another one, I'm going to get that one too. Candace was good. Daniel was good. Timmy was good. JD was good. Joaquin was good. I mean, it looks legitimate enough. I saw Rick Merrigan. I think it was Rick Merrigan. He posted the letter too. Like he retweeted it, and I read through it, and I'm like, they don't like look legally. They don't have a case. I could just tell you that right now. Legally, they don't have a case. They really don't. You know what I mean? Like if you had to move off of June 5th, that does not make Team Lopez or Team Cambosos liable, especially if you was the one that wanted them to move off that date. That doesn't mean they owe you money because all of y'all wanted to move off that date. So how do they owe you money because of that? If Teofimo got COVID after that, once again, that still don't mean he owe you money. Like, how does he owe you money because he got COVID and y'all had to wait? How does he owe you money? I need a sky heat map for the. Let me post the joint. Let me post the joint in the comments. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you read through it, and this is what they're trying to build a case around. If you read through the letter and you read through like what they're trying to build the case around that, that we had to move from June 5th to June 19th, then Teofimo got COVID, then he didn't want to go to Australia. It's like none of that makes them financially responsible for the money you hope to make. You know what I mean? And if you already have a signed contract from George that he was down to fight on the 4th, all right, he's telling you he down to fight on the 4th. The issues that you have is not his problem. You see what I mean? I was goody Anonymous, was goody Abner, was goody Napoli, was goody Box Watch. It's like, yo, look, not but a few months ago I was asking, or I was saying, I should say, that they give me Rock Nation vibes. I kind of feel like they really not going to be around for a long time. And here we are just a few months later. Box Watch was good. It sounded like you making breakfast or something. Virtuoso, I'm sure you hip to the story by now. You see what's going on. What's your thoughts on the whole thing?
Man, you say Rock Nation vibe, I say Fire Festival, man. This is like they brought Ja Rule to this bullshit. They
Yo,
fed people fucking cheese sandwiches and tomato slices.
bro, it's
And like,
wild because it's like it was such a small situation. It's an IBF mandatory. It's not a big
right.
fight. It's not supposed to be this long drug out set of negotiations for IBF mandatory that don't
Mm-hmm.
nobody know. Come on, be like obviously us hardcores, we know George, or at least we know a little bit about him. But this is
Mm-hmm.
not the fight that you're supposed to spend a year trying to make. And it look,
And spend $6 million on.
you know what I mean? So,
Like,
bro,
oh man, I don't know,
all I can
man.
say is, look, the silver lining is if they are found in default, right? The fight is
Mm-hmm.
still a little bigger than it would have been, just a little. The pot is a little bigger because of the 1.5 from Triller, which is why I suspect they're protesting. I suspect that they're protesting because they don't want to be in default and they don't want to lose out on that 1.5. What they want is for Georgia's status as a mandatory to be rescinded so they don't have to pay that deposit. That's what they want. And what they mad about is the IBF not going to let them do that. They not going to let them do that. Like, nah, you in the hole 1.5. At minimum, you in the hole 1.5 at minimum. And it's just the way it is. And they mad at that. And now they trying to like scare them with the lawyers. They trying to scare them like, bruh, the whole of boxing is a bunch of con artists and shifty and sketchy ass people. You do realize that, right? That the whole of boxing is wise guys, gangsters, and shifty, sketchy people. You're not gonna scare them with that. Like, you're not gonna scare them with a letter from your lawyer. That's not gonna work.
So it was Trilla's lawyer that sent them the letter to them saying that they were processing it, trying to take him off the Cambosis off the ranking so they could get their 1.2 million. Like, wow, man.
See, hindsight is a mad thing, you know. Hindsight is crazy because obviously, looking at it now, if Triller had ever foreseen this type of future, would they even gone in with a
No,
6 mil?
I think that the look of it. I'm gonna tell you what the look of it is, right? The look of it is that they had success with the Tyson versus Jones Jr. exhibition, so they had money to play, but they invested it improperly. They didn't know the market value of that fight. They just thought that they had money to play, and what they're suffering from now is buyer's remorse. They worked very hard to try to find a good date for that fight because they don't want to miss out on that $6 million. They don't want to lose it and pour it down the drain. So they've tried to find an ideal date to see if they can get their money back, right, to make that 6 and then some. The problem is, bro, with that fight, you was not gonna make that. Like, you was not gonna make no 6 mil, generate 6 with that fight. You wildin'. And
No, come on, they could have. They more
anybody
than
sitting there
likely.
apologizing for Teofimo is like, bro, like you just gotta admit he fucked up, dog. He fucked up.
Triller more than likely was going to look to take a loss anyway, but not this severe and not with this type of time scale between the fights and stuff. They didn't foresee this.
Look. The zone was down to take a loss when they first debuted in America because they had the budget to play. Their focus was making a statement. Like, Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas, that was a loss. That was a financial loss because that fight is not no $7 million fight. So y'all lost bread on that. But they could afford to take that loss. Triller's revenue stream is still unknown to me. Like, what is it that y'all make money from exactly? Like, what is it? What do y'all make money from? We know that Triller bought Fight TV, so they must have some kind of money, right? They bought the Fight platform. But aside from that, what is y'all really getting money from? Because y'all focused on a $1.5 million deposit and a $6 million fight. That tell me that y'all don't have a lot of money to play if you focus on that little ass amount of money. The zone spent more than that on Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas. And just on Mikey purse.
My thing is this, like, how the fuck did the Roy Jones Jr. and Tyson event sell like 2 million, right? And there's rumblings of Tyson not getting his money. Like, what is that about?
Bro, like I said,
that's their shady business over there at Triller. That's what that.
Ryan Kavanaugh is a scam artist, right? And he didn't realize when getting into the world of boxing that you do realize this is the pound for pound scam artists of the world. Like, it is though. Like, legitimately, he's a scam artist. I talked about that here. They're like, yo, that dude is like a Ponzi scheme type dude, right? But you getting into boxing, it's wise guys in boxing. It's con artists in boxing. The lawyers themselves is con artists in boxing, bro. Peter Khan,
historically,
like yo, everybody's a wise guy in boxing. So it's like, yo, dog, like, y'all really thought y'all was gonna come in here and try to scam some bread or whatever. Like, nah, you in the wrong business for that. You better go back to Hollywood with that shit. It ain't gonna work in boxing.
I mean, I don't mind like venture capitalists injecting money, into boxing to try to get fighters, to fight the best. But if you don't know what you're doing, if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, or just basically thinking that you're gonna take over other boxing outlets, you're dead wrong, man. I just like Triller. They just basically dive headfirst into a concrete with no fucking water in the pool. Like,
Let me read the super chat. Shout out to Napoli who says Triller won't win that suit. They can kiss that cabbage goodbye. Willie Lynch says it's as if they never heard of exactly because they're in the wrong business to try to run a con job. Mark, you heard what's going on. It looks a lot like Triller has been found in default. It's not official. It hasn't been officially announced, but if you read through the letter, it sounds like they've been found in default. What do you think about that?
Well, I actually haven't looked at anything to do with boxing in about 18 hours. So, when did this happen?
Okay, this was posted last night. I'll say around maybe 6 p.m. I saw the letter from Triller's legal representation, Kevin Ioli at Yahoo. He posted it that officially Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos will not be promoted by Triller. They're not doing a fight. Sounds a lot like basically they've been found in default because if you read through the letter, they're not just going after Teofimo and they're not just going after George Kambosos. They're also going after the IBF themselves. And what they're basically saying is you can't force us to lose more money on this event because we
oh my God.
Yeah, because they saying we already lost, which I don't believe, by the way. They saying they already lost $15 million. Bro, where did you spend 15 million? Like, bro, it don't take 15 million to rent a small venue in Miami. It really don't. It don't take 15 million. That's couple hundred thousand at best. It don't take 15 million. They said they spent $8 million in promotion. Bro, that's more money than they spent for Wilder versus Fury 2 promotion. You saying you spent 2 times that amount. I don't believe you, bro. Like, nah. What you really want to do, and this is what they're going for, they want George Kambosos' status as a mandatory rescinded, and they want Isaac Cruz elevated to that position. Because if that happens, they're off the hook. They get their deposit back, right? They don't have to do the fight anymore, and they'll get their $1.5 million back. The thing is, it doesn't look like that's going to work, and that's why they're going after the IBF.
They can't do that. They can't manipulate the rankings just to get their money back.
That's what they
not that they're not promoting the fight, Julius. The second biggest, bidder, Matchroom, are they gonna get the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's what you have to look for. We already heard, I'll say a little over a week ago that Matchroom is still interested in doing a fight. I posted a tweet here on the channel. It was a tweet that like, yeah, if things don't work out, Matchroom wants to pick up the fight, but they would not honor October the 16th. So I can only imagine that they would try to move it to maybe November, maybe early November or mid-November, based on the tweet that I saw.
Morning, everybody.
Okay. So, as far as I'm concerned with that shit, man, I am not watching that fight. I don't care.
No, well, Mark, you know, if they get it, it's not a pay-per-view. You can see it as part of your subscription.
It can be part of my subscription.
Hold up real quick. Is it true that shit is on Crackle Premium?
Nah, that was boxing.
I was built for that shit.
Look. He was trying to say that because Triller not gonna promote the fight. Crackle gonna fuck around and pick it up. And look, it's that's not a bad assumption. Like, yeah, fucking Crackle fuck around into the purse bid. You never know. Roku TV might enter the purse bid.
That's the struggle app, man. That's when you couldn't afford Netflix. Who was there for you? Crackle.
Crackle B. They have low key. They will hold you down. Like if you somewhere and you don't have Netflix or some shit like that, you can watch like old Brady Bunch episodes and shit like that on Crackle. Like they got Poltergeist. I think they got Poltergeist 2 on Crackle, matter of fact. But if Crackle get the fight, that's dope. I'm just playing. They're not gonna get the fight. Drew says,
"What the fuck is Crackle?"
Crackle is like some free shit out here, B. It's like some free shit for you to watch movies. It like you could literally watch movies for free. Drew says Triller changed the game. Teofimo reset the market. The takeover is now the layover. I thought T.O. was buying himself out of Top Rank, right? That looked like what he wanted to do, and that ain't happened. Instead, he ended up renegotiating his contract.
All right, one, it's a combination of multiple things, right? First off, let me start off by saying that Triller is not getting their money back. That's just one, right? You want to know what it is? It's like someone gambling and they didn't really understand like the bet between two teams.
Exactly.
And it gets randomly put in the bet, and then now they're mad that they lost.
Exactly. It's like you didn't know the rules or you didn't understand the game, and now you think that you could get your bread back because you didn't understand. No, you don't get your bread back. You lost that. Period. You lost that.
And we talked about it yesterday, Jules. It's in the letter. They mad that they got to a game with other gangsters and Ponzi scheme runners, and they lost.
That's because that's what it is.
It's in the letter. It's in the letter. We're not going to be privy to these good old boys and be taken by crooks. Like
they want to take their ball. They want to take their ball and go home, and they can't because the IBF has their ball. Their ball is that $1.5 million. They mad, and it's like, bro, you can't. They brought up a lot of shit. Like they brought up moving off of June 5th to go into June 19th. They brought up that Teofimo got COVID. They even brought up the Evander Holyfield fight. Like, bro, what does the Holyfield fight? Like, what does that have to do with this shit? Nothing. Like, nothing. Like,
they want to get into the business of boxing, but they don't want to compete with other cards. Like, bro, like, this is how it is. Like,
that is the most concise statement in reference to it, because I said it in the video I just uploaded. Even though Mayweather ended up announcing a fight after you announced your fight, guess what? That's the business, bro. Don't nobody owe you money because that's just the business. If that was gonna affect your sales, or if you didn't have a lot of confidence in your product, that shit, it don't matter. That's the business. And if you felt nervous and you moved it, that don't mean them people owe you money because you're the one that wanted to move off that day. You should have just did it then.
And as a matter of fact, if Triller wants to sue them for something as ridiculous as that, wouldn't that mean Teofimo and Kambosos could sue them for something that as ridiculous as that? I know they can't, but just saying, if you want to bring up a ridiculous point, I'm just mentioning a ridiculous point to challenge a ridiculous point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's like one good turn deserves another. Like if you're gonna try to sue us or come after us for that, then we could come after you for failing to deliver a fight date at a reasonable fight date.
Kavanaugh just came in thinking he could run his Ponzi scheme tactics in boxing, and he was in it for a rude awakening.
That's all it is, yo. Somebody mic is crackling a lot, B.
Yeah. Look, man, this whole thing is hilarious. Triller have been trying to sue everybody from the get-go.
Yeah.
Or saying that they're going to. Don't forget, they said every single fan who live streams this illegally, we're going to sue you.
Bro, remember, yo,
we're going to sue you.
That's why you gotta love Mark, B.
Not even something that's not even possible.
Everybody forgot that they tried to say, like, yo, we're gonna find out everybody that watched the fight illegally, and you're gonna owe us $2,000 for a $50. Like, bro, who you expect to believe? If anybody would have had that technology, it would have been Dana White.
Because that's how you know that company is being run by boomers, man. They don't know nothing about no VPNs.
That type of technology is at least 20 years away. To be to be able to find every individual's IP.
Yep.
The police can't even do that yet.
Bro,
if they could, do you know how many people would be fucked?
Bro, I knew then that it's like, yo, they got a bunch of crackerjacks running their business over there. Like, y'all really trying to use schoolyard scare tactics to conjure up revenue because you're losing money. You must be losing money if this is what you have to resort to. You must be losing money.
Well, look, Julius, let's look at it like this, right? They've lost a lot of money. They're out on the fight. As they say, they're going to sue Teofimo, then they're going to sue George, and they're going to sue the IBF. So they're going to lose more money on a case that isn't worth going to. The Ponzi scheme is crashed. They're going to lose a lot of money. And Ryan Kavanagh's going to end up shot in the next 4 years. It's funny.
No. Let me read this super chat. Dre Dot asks, so are the rumors of Kambosos being taken out of his mandatory position for the other God Cruz true? No, he hasn't been taken out. At least if he has, it hasn't been announced. What they want, what Triller wants, is for him to be taken off so that they could get their money back. Because in order to enter the purse bid, they had to deposit $1.5 million. And so long as George is the mandatory, that deposit stays. and they don't get their money back. So what they want is for him to be removed so they could get their money back. And that's not, it don't look like that. Like, why would they remove him, dog? Explain. Like, why would they remove him?
That's grounds for litigation right there, man. That's like you're giving him the ammunition like to sue them for taking you off the list.
Bruh, like to me, they've been using schoolyard tactics throughout. I noticed Mark adequately brought it up that they tried to scare people into buying a pay-per-view after it took place, because that is what they were trying to do. They were saying that, yo, literally though, bro, that's what they was trying to do. This was after the fight. They was like, yo, you could still buy the pay-per-view by June 1st. Like, bro, ain't nobody gonna buy a pay-per-view when they know what the outcome is. Ain't nobody gonna buy that. They tried to scare people into buying it. I think that was the Ben Askren versus Jake Paul fight. I think it was that fight. They tried to scare people with that. They're trying to scare Teofimo and George and the IBF with this bullshit. And y'all must not know the IBF history, but you're not going to scare them with that shit. They had the federal government come after them, B. They not worried about Ryan Kavanaugh. They had the government come after them. So it's not going to work. It's just like Drew said. Y'all tried to be con artists in a game full of con artists, and it's not going to work. Everybody in boxing is a wise guy. You got guys like Daniel Kinahan floating around, B. Bob Arum. I know he do a lot of interviews and all of that, but yo, dog, like, Bob wasn't born yesterday, B. A lot of these cats wasn't born yesterday. And the game you trying to run, it's not going to work with these people, man. Like, it ain't.
Ego Rybisky, James Prince,
Yeah,
Daniel
no,
Kinahan. You think they're afraid of a little pudgy boy named Ryan Kavanaugh? This newbie?
boxing guys only like to get taken by boxing guys, not no newbie on the block.
Yeah.
He feels
Don't really allow that.
He feels like he's been hazed, and it's like, look, to a degree, Triller was hazed when they first debuted in America. To a degree, they were hazed, you know, because it is the way that he says it is. Nobody wants a new guy coming into the market making waves. Nobody wants that because that changes the landscape. So yeah, I could see that they hazed you, but you got to take that hazing, bro. You don't want to take that hazing, and you don't realize you are competing with the Zone. You are competing with Golden Boy. You are competing with Matchroom, Top Rank, all of them. What you think? They're going to move their fight dates for you? Who the fuck are you? They're not going to do that. The worst part is Michael Hunter's still over there. He got a multi-fight deal.
As a matter of fact,
If you're Michael Hunter, how are you confident that these guys are going to handle your career?
Bruh.
as a matter of fact, Triller should have been privy, should have at least known that, being that they're the newcomers, they other promotions would purposely put fights on their date to keep the kid to fuck with them. They should have known that.
All right, Marcel Soto, you see what's going on with Triller. What's your thoughts on that situation? I guess he ain't got nothing to say. All right, so I mean, it's looking like they defaulted, and if they
Julie.
All right, Marcel, I'm gonna ask you again. You see what happened with Triller? You see what happened with Teofimo and all of that shit. What's your thoughts on that situation?
I feel like his momentum is completely gone. Whatever, he was coming off the best win of his career, you know, and the stagnant, just no movement of the fight is ridiculous, man. I just don't understand it.
And it was all like, if you think about it, this is why I say it was a wash. Drew knows the numbers. I'm pretty sure Mark knows the numbers. That from the Triller fight, he was set to make 4, right? But from the 4, 8 was going to go to Top Rank. That's their fee. 8, like close to 800,000 of that. That's going to Top Rank.
Kia was coming up with about 3.2.
Yeah, he's coming, and that's not that much. Not enough for you to lose your momentum, for you to lose a year on this bullshit. Just 3. Now it's looking like, yo, the next pot, if it goes to Matchroom, will be 4. Out of that 4, Teofimo should get what, a little over 3, and then out of that 3, Top Rank is probably gonna take maybe 6 to 7. So it's like, bro, like, you did all this bullshit for this.
Hey, but it's God's timing, like you said. He moves on God's plan now. This is all God's timing, Tio said, bro. That's
Yo,
like
didn't I say this 3 days ago that he
you
gonna
did say
start
this
talking
though,
about
Jules.
God?
You said it to
Didn't
a
I
T.
say he gonna start talking about God and all of that bullshit? Like I said this, be like, it is what it is, man. The only good thing is that if they did default, it goes to Matchroom. If it goes to Matchroom, it's not a pay-per-view. It's a regular Matchroom fight. Let's hope that it goes to Matchroom. I think it'll go to Matchroom because they said they wanted to fight a little over a week ago, and it's looking like they might get it.
And this is the
I think,
American fighter in a nutshell.
yo, look, man.
Not
I've been
everybody's Virgil
saying it.
Ortiz.
I've been saying it. Look, Josh Taylor, you just don't see this bull. Like, look, Josh Taylor finds himself in a similar situation to Teofimo with Jack Catterall, right? That I just became undisputed, and off top, fight is done. The Catterall fight is done. No fuss, no muss, no shit about I gotta renegotiate my nothing. The fight is done. Bang, that's it. Whereas with the American fighter, look at what the shit became just 2 months after you won the Loma fight. Look at what it became because of all the entitlement and all the bullshit. Like, bruh, like you fucked it up for yourself, bro. It ain't no other way around it. You fucked it up for yourself.
He was running around saying the promoters and the networks don't deserve more money than the fighters.
Bro,
Like,
who does he think puts up the money for the fucking
that's what I
fighters on the
said.
goddamn show? You telling the people that make the show that they don't deserve no money. How you sound? If they don't invest in you, guess what? You don't get anything. You don't even get the fight if they don't invest in you. So no, you wildin'. They deserve to make a profit. I'm sorry that most people don't understand this industry, but if the network and the promoter don't put up that bread, you don't have nowhere to fight, and you won't make shit unless you want to like fight in your backyard or fight in the underground chicken gizzard circuit. You won't get to make no money.
I'm after reading the whole thing now, so I kind of have a bit of an opinion. Yeah, that shit's wild, man.
Bro, the jean jacket Sherlin, it finally came in. I love the fit. Levi's is a great brand. If you want to look fresh and fly and ready to die, Levi's. I need sponsors.
You got that Joe
You
Goosen
might
drip.
you might need a cowboy hat to complete the look, man.
I am gonna get a cowboy hat. Real shit.
Joe Goosen approves of that denim.
Ow!
I'll be honest, Jay.
Don
I
King
love you,
approved
man.
that denim.
Levi's won't be your sponsor, mate. Levi's won't be your sponsor.
Yes, they will, dog. Yes, they will.
Bro, they turned down David Beckham for a fucking sponsor. They turned down Beckham.
Listen, speak it, believe it, receive it, bro. Speak it, achieve it, relieve it. All right, I'm gonna get them. They're gonna be my sponsor. They're gonna
Who are you,
sponsor
Deontay
me.
Wilder?
Speak it, believe it, receive it.
Yo, look, I'm draped in Levi's right now. The shirt is Levi's. The collar's Levi's. You can't see my jeans, but they Levi's too. The Timberlands, however, they not Levi's, but still. Speak it, achieve it,
I tell you what they are. They're fucking expensive. That's what they are.
Yo, I didn't know. Yo, look, I had a pair of Timbs that I had not bought Timbs in a minute, right? So I go to the shit to buy a pair of Timbs. Yo, them shits is like damn near $200 now. I used to get Timbs on Broadway for like $120, at least like
Yeah,
$1.
that was like back in the early 2000s, man.
Damn,
And that shit went up, bro.
You can buy Tim's in a minute. Yeah, Tim's are now damn near $200 now. Jordan's
Yeah, they damn near 200, but I got a fresh pair right there for when it get cold outside. Just cause, like, bro, cause all I really buy, like, I don't spend a lot of bread on footwear. I just buy Chuck Taylors in different colors. That's all I do. I buy Chuck Taylors. Other than that, like, I don't even wear icy whites no more. Like Air Force Ones, I don't wear pearly whites. I might get a odd pair of Adidas every so often, but I mostly buy Chuck Taylors. Like, that's to me, that's the ideal motherfucking shoe. Bro, shit, but I'm gonna get a horse like Spence. I'm gonna go down to Spence's ranch. I'm gonna ride some of the horses and shit. And we gonna talk about Ferraris and shit.
And get a
It's gonna be
chicken.
nice. It's gonna be nice.
And it's gonna turn into Brokeback Mountain.
So I mean, I think the question now is, do any of you guys have any thoughts on Lopez having sat out this long, and how do you feel like it'll affect his performance because he hasn't fought in so long? Because he hasn't had to make lightweight in so long, do you think that that's a factor?
Yes. Yes.
Do you?
I think yes, but
All right, so let me start from the bottom to the top. Mark, is it a factor? Why is it a factor?
It's a factor because he's an asthmatic who's had COVID, who hasn't been active, who's probably tried to make weight 3 times. Why it won't be an absolute factor? Because George Kambosos sucks, and he's been in the same position minus the COVID.
Does all right on the suckometer, one being nah, he don't suck, and 10 being Rod Salka. Where's George?
Cletus Selden at 9.
Cletus Selden ain't worse than Rod Salka. Cletus Selden not worse than Rod Salka.
No, he's not. Rod Salka's 10. Selden 9.
Okay, so from Selden to Salka, where is George?
Selden to Salka. Something. Bro, who the fuck do you fit in between there? Come on, that's a 50-50 fight. Shut the fuck up.
Man, like, look. I saw a lot of people, they liked it, the air that George had about him, that he didn't really look
Pontanamarev.
Panamarev seems capable enough. Seemed, I should say. Seemed. He didn't lose till he got the 50.
Bro, the dude got rocked by Lee Selby.
True that.
That's like getting rocked by Paulie Malignaggi.
True that. So, all right, look. Should we give George, based on these circumstances, any kind of real odds to upset the apple cart? Or is that just no? I mean, it won't happen.
No, not unless Teofimo has really, not unless he had like the worst bout of COVID ever while he was over in Italy. And yeah.
Do you honestly believe he had it though?
I thought he was in Italy.
Bro, honestly, I've been on the fence with it because I don't know if he had it. I just remember when people were saying he had COVID, there was other people saying, nah, that dude is in Italy with his wife. So I don't even really know that he had it, that I should think about it, that like, cause I don't know if you had it. People saying,
look, I don't know. I don't care. I don't really know what's been going on with him. But if he were to lose to George Kambosos, that would be embarrassing.
All right, I'm gonna go to Drew. Drew, Sunday morning, Teofimo Lopez has lost the titles to George Kambosos. What is your reaction?
I'm checking on Punch to see if he's still alive first. And it's just and then I'm gonna tweet Teofimo, this was God's plan, God's timing.
Oh shit.
Because it's just laughable, bro. Like the man probably can't even make 135 anymore. Healthy in a healthy way, make it. And I think he just is he's gonna get jaded towards media asking him real questions now.
Yeah.
And he's gonna stick to the certain channels. And it's just it's sad to see it took this quick for him to go from like, okay, I'm gonna do this, fight 3-4 times a year. We're gonna change the game back to the 80s to this.
He was on the right track. That's what makes me sad about it because I really had a lot of I liked how he was moving. I liked that he was running to the danger, that he was running to the legacy, and just like that, immediately after, it's
indicative of your manager is your dad and this other dude McWaters. When you don't have an outside third party, that's gonna just be a straight up dickhead about it and be like, no, you're stupid. This is the right choice to make.
Yeah, because McWater, and I don't think that his role.
Everybody's eating off T.O. in his circle.
Look, McWater's the dude that told Conwell, come off of that card so that you could come on Lopez versus Kambosos. Only for Lopez versus Kambosos to get moved 5 fucking times. So you costing Lopez and Kambosos money, but you actually costing Conwell money too. You giving them bad advice. And I reckon, because I'm wearing this Sherlin, that he probably the one that told Teofimo to do that dumb shit. Like, don't do the fight at top rank. Don't do the fight at top rank. We could get more money. Yeah, look at where you are right now, B. Your fighter hasn't fought, and we 10 months into the year of 2021, and your fighter hasn't fought.
He could have had 2 or 3 fights in that time and made more than 3.2 million.
Exactly.
If he'd have let Top Rank do it, the fight would have been in February, March. Had another fight in September, and then another one in December.
That's what I mean. He could have fought. He could have fought in March. Maybe he comes back in August and then caps the year off in December with a big pay-per-view. Nah, you thought the grass was greener over there. Wow.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you bet on yourself. You gamble. You know what I mean? Gambling is always good.
That's what happens when a fighter tries to be a suit. And I can't stress that enough. That's what
Thank you.
happens when a
Thank you.
fighter try to be a fucking suit. You're not a suit. You don't know what you talking about. Your lawyer is just looking for a bigger cut of your purse. He not even hip to really what's going on. Yo, it's simple shit. You got to trust. I know it's gonna sound crazy, right? But you got to trust Bob to a certain point. You got to trust him to a fault because he knows what he's doing. Pacquiao, Oscar, Floyd, Cotto, these great fighters that you see and that you still hear about, they was top ranked fighters first. So trust the process. Now you want to rush the process. No, I gotta get this. I gotta get that. No, all right, bro. All right.
Tio was acting like he gonna sell 30, 40,000 in one day, like he AJ or Canelo after that fight. I don't know where
That's what he thought.
I don't know where he was getting that idea from.
That's what he thought. Like, yo, your people is not look like you. I think the win over Lomachenko is a great legacy defining, career defining win and all of that. But remember, Lomachenko was not a huge draw in America. So why would you beating him make you a huge? You're not that yet. You on the right track. Stay on the path. Nah, you want to rush and deviate and take detours. And here we are. Be 10 months into this year. You ain't fought. And people still gonna blow smoke up your ass and tell you did the right thing. No, you didn't. You didn't. It could have been a way more productive year. Could have been.
Like if he had had that Cambosis fight, and then I don't know, let's say he moves to 140 or he fights Loma or he does the Henny fight, who knows? That would have been a great year for him. Great year.
Yeah.
Great year.
I mean, he could have spent. You know what he could have did, right? Like, okay, I want to make money. Okay, let me fight 3 times in the year of 2021. Let me take care of the 2 mandatories. Let me take care of the IBF mandatory. Yep. Then I'll sift through the WBA rankings or the WBO rankings, and then I'll do a mandatory with them. That'll be my summer fight. And then I cap off the year with either a Taylor fight or a Loma rematch. Pick your poison. But nah. And it is what it is. And I don't pity you because that's what happens when fighters try to behave like suits. You not a suit, bro. Stop that Mayweather shit. Like, yo, look, I love Mayweather as a fighter, but he convinced a lot of people to do a lot of shit that they don't need to do, like the shoulder roll. We talked about that the other night. I'm sick of seeing fighters doing that. I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. Don't do that.
But you know what? I'll say this, Jay, right? I'm cool with him making that mistake. I'm cool with him learning. He managed to get a re-up on his contract with Top Rank, right?
He was gonna get that anyway, Mark. He was gonna get
maybe. We don't know that for sure. We don't know if he would have gotten an update in his contract.
He would have.
Time period.
You know how I know? Because of Alvarez. When Alvarez won the WBO from Sergey, they updated his contract minimum to $1 million a fight. He would have got an update for his contract. He would have. You know what I mean? Just like Crawford got one after he beat Jeff Horn. He got an updated minimum. They wasn't, in other words, they wasn't gonna fuck him. They wasn't gonna fuck him.
But wasn't did they get an update?
The moon and the stars. And nah, B, you're not getting the moon and the stars. That'd be good for the money.
That doesn't mean everybody does. There's been other fighters who haven't. Top Rank need to bet on the value. They need to bet on the value. You know what Bob's like. It's not necessarily definite. I agree with you, it's a probability, but that's still guesswork.
It is. Base the kid, shout out to Base. Capricorn brother says, couldn't have fought in March or April. He had a boat on. A boat?
He had a boot on?
I don't know. All I know is the shit is funny.
He's talking about that surgery he had on his foot.
Oh, but if he would have because if he would have just let Top Rank do the fight, it wouldn't have got to that point to where it even came into it. You know what I mean? Like, you talking about a fight that he knew he was gonna have after the Lomachenko fight. Like, they knew George is next for the winner. George is next. They knew that. So you really had from November, December, right, going into this year. That's really a year right there, shit.
Well, how much more time in this career can he really waste? He needs to get in the ring soon, man. It's been there. Well, how long has it been since the Loma fight? When was the Loma fight?
October, the end of October.
So it's been just a year, just about a year.
Oh yeah, just a year.
How old's Tio?
He's what, 24?
You don't want that early in your career, man. You can deal with that shit when you're 38.
I mean, he want to start off. He want to start off his career with promotional issues. Like, look, everybody always says that Bob is the bad guy. No, Bob is realistic, bro. That's the problem. You think that because you see Mayweather did something that it's gonna work for you. You're not Mayweather. He is not the example for you. That's the problem that you have. Maybe Bob got it wrong with Floyd. I believe he did. Like, yeah, this dude, he did the right thing and it worked out for him. But all of y'all not gonna be Floyd. You know that, right? That worked for him. You not him. You
You can't be
not
Floyd if you don't have an Al Heyman in your corner.
Well, not even that. These dudes want to be Floyd, but there's no Oscar De La Hoya for them to fight.
bingo. Like, cause Loma wasn't De La Hoya. Like, if we gonna talk about, like, he wasn't De La Hoya. Like, yeah, he was
He
the
wasn't
man
a starter.
leading your division, but he wasn't Oscar. Like, come on now, he didn't have that kind of following.
There's
That's what the
nobody to
challenge with
pass
the
the
Devin
torch.
Haney, though, isn't it?
There's nobody to pass the torch to these dudes. That's a bona fide blue chip star that got endorsements.
Realistically, there isn't, because all he has are fighters, which isn't bad for us, the boxing fans, but all he has are fighters that are in their prime, and you have to go through them. You know, you went through Loma, cool. Beyond Loma, there's Josh Taylor. You got to go through him. You know what I mean? That's next.
But
You know, like,
this
that's
is
who you.
but this is the issue with today's generation of fighters, right? Being that there's no Oscar, nobody's willing to take a risk. Nobody's
Yeah.
willing to take a fight that people are interested in. Even Oscar was a pretty face. He fought everybody. He fought fights that you were interested in. These guys, like, they have some type of interest, but they don't fight people that you're interested in. Like, for example, I think Devontae Davis has the potential to be a superstar, but the fact that he's not fighting anybody that we feel he could possibly lose to, it doesn't make him a star. If you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm talking about?
Well, they trying to, like, with Davis. Somebody mic is fucked, man. With Davis, it's obvious what they doing. It's just like I don't even like talking about him no more, like, because it's like, bro, it's corny. Like, I just seen Ella B on a Boxing Voice trying to talk his way out of a Haney fight. Like, bro, Haney don't got a promoter. He don't got a platform deal. So what's the problem? Like, seriously, he don't have none of that. He not with Matchroom, like officially. He not with them on paper. So if you want to do a fight, you could do a fight. And he start talking his same shit. It's like, bro, why are we talking about this kid? I know I'm not gonna buy his fight. I don't know about none of y'all. I just know I'm not gonna buy his fight. So why are we talking about him? Fuck him. He not important. Fuck his fake talent and his fake potential. If he really had the things that people think he had, they'd match him that way. They don't match him that way because he don't have that. They know if they put him in there with somebody that could fight back and fucking lose.
You know, Jay, Leonard doesn't even need to try and have to explain, oh, we're not doing this or whatever. Just be like, no, you gotta be Team Floyd or you gotta be Team Al. And that's the only fights we're doing because they've already put that out there. We've already accepted that. We don't give a fuck. So just say that. Don't try and talk your way out of it and lie your way out with more lies to do with Ducky.
It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. He was on the Boxing Voice. Shout out to the Boxing Voice. He was on a Boxing Voice the other day. And it's like, yo, dog, you basically telling everybody in a nutshell, Davis versus Lopez, Davis versus Garcia, Davis versus Haney. None of that is going to happen. All right, then, if none of that is going to happen, we don't need to see your fighter. I don't need to see your fighter. He's not going to be in none of the fights that I want to see. None of them. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, there's no conversation there. Because what you expect, Ryan and Devin and Lopez to sign to the money team? No, of course not. You're not expecting that. In other words, you're just trying to find reasons to not do them fights. So don't fucking do them, and you won't get my money, and we'll just leave it right there. It's not complicated.
And that's why there's never going to be no superstar. There's no superstar. There's no superstar for them to fight.
And then they get mad, and what bothers me is they get mad and they resent fighters like Usyk, for example, that like, yo, dog, this dude is the risk taking this motherfucker. Like every single belt on foreign soil in the other man's backyard goes up to heavyweight. We all I doubted him. I'm not gonna lie about it. Yeah, I doubted him. Like, yo, he didn't look hot in that Chisora fight. He didn't look hot in that Weatherspoon fight. He go in there.
Doubted a Capricorn.
He goes in there, he performs, right? and now y'all want to knock him so we could blow up your fucking like, nah, be fuck out of here, man. If anything, he making us look bad. You making us look bad as a country and as a populace because we got this weak ass mindset. They're like, yo, dog, everything is not a given. Everything's not a. I'm sorry, you like you want the moon and the stars, but you ain't do half the shit he did, B. Think about that shit.
They came through a rough neighborhood though, Jules. They got it out the mud.
Yeah, they got it exactly because that's everybody favorite. I got it up. So what if you got it out the mud?
It was worse than the fucking war-torn Ukraine that Usyk came out of.
Like you got. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, like, because he mentioned the war-torn Ukraine, I remember on the build-up to Bellew versus Usyk, Sky were literally promoting how that Tony Bellew is different because he's come from a really rough upbringing from a council estate in Liverpool. Meanwhile, my dude over here coming out on nuclear fucking war. And looks like he's been through every step of nuclear war. Look at his teeth.
Bro, he looked like he looked like Lomachenko with radiation. Like if they put plutonium in Lomachenko and just left it there, you come back in 30 days and he's Swolachenko. Bigachenko.
Bigachenko.
Real shit, Bigachenko. Like, I am Usika.
It's just crazy, man. Like, look, I made a video on this. It's got to be nearly 9, 10, 11 months ago, where I was talking about the lack of torches in around specific divisions. And it's not like it was in 2006 to 2011, where you had a marquee fighter after marquee fighters. Now you need to actually create marquee fighters. You need to create them. You don't do that by putting them on paper. You need the casual audience to know who they are, and they need to want to buy them.
Yeah.
So put them on regularized TV. Put them on Fox. And they're saying, but I won't fight without getting $1 million. Hey, yo, homie, if you go and you do all of that shit and you're fighting on those platforms and people start buying your pay-per-views, you ain't going to be making $1 million. Eventually, you're going to be making $20 million. You need to think like that. Because every $1 million horse that you get, you fight 7 times. If you fight for 7 times for 500 grand, you make half that. Eventually, you're going to make 10 million. And then you're going to make 15. You need to create the stars in front of the audience now. You can't just be going around and throwing them out willy-nilly on pay-per-views and expecting them to be stars. It doesn't work that way. People need to know who they are to be able to follow them.
Listen, it was 2 very high-level fights that I believe were at the highest levels of the sport, right? Lomachenko versus Lopez and Taylor versus Ramirez. Those were 2 very high-level fights for their respective weight classes. Arguably, if not the best fights the division had to offer. Bob did not put them on pay-per-view. You see that? Like, he didn't, like, even with that, that does not account for marquee value. So, inflated egos and inflated purse demands, I'm sorry, I can't accommodate you. I could get you there. I could put you on a path, but I'm not gonna feed you applesauce, bro. Like just because you beat Lomachenko, that don't mean you the new Oscar. That don't mean you the new Floyd. I'm sorry, like you wildin'. It's more steps you gotta go through. You know what I mean? Motherfucking Floyd went in there, and we know that Gaddy was past his best. We know that the version of Gaddy that he fought. But you know, Gaddy was a very well-known guy, and even with beating Gaddy in one-sided fashion, that wasn't all. You know, you still had to beat motherfucking Chico. You still had to go through Castillo, Manfredi. You still had a lot of shit you had to do before you became the guy that everybody wants to become.
And he also had a great start because he was in an era where the Olympics mattered.
Yeah.
So him getting a silver then mattered.
Yeah.
That shit mattered. Everybody knew who the fuck he was coming out of the amateurs.
Yeah. These days, if I ask somebody like, and I have high hopes for Keyshawn Davis. I do. I think he'll do well. But if I ask somebody, and it's a glaring reality that the Americans are not watching Olympic boxing as much as they used to. Nah, because they knew Oscar out of the Olympics. They did. They knew motherfucking Floyd out of the Olympics. They did. They knew them guys.
Well,
now,
let's not forget. Keyshawn Davis, his Olympics that took place in Tokyo. A lot of Americans weren't watching the Olympics because of time difference, right? That's got to be said. A lot weren't.
Okay,
when Floyd was at the Olympics, that was in Atlanta.
But now
that was Atlanta.
But Americans are not watching the Olympics regardless.
Yeah,
Viewership
like
is
like
down
you
every
can't.
Olympic.
I will say this. I do agree with that to some sect, but the reason Spence is so more popular is don't forget when he was at the Olympics, 16 million people watched him live.
Bro, look at that Olympic team. On that Olympic team, on Spencer's Olympic team, I believe, or at least, coming up through those amateurs, you had guys like Jesse Hart, Marcus Brown, Dominic Brazil, whole lot of guys. Jamel Herring was part
Caleb
of that
Plant.
team too, right? None of those guys, right, coming out of all of that, coming out of those amateurs and all of that, they wasn't household names, bro. So nah, it's not because it
No,
was.
I feel you. I feel you. But Spence, if Spence did get a bit of notoriety coming out of the Olympics, he did have the most amount of views out of that Olympics because he was picked as the main hope to get gold from America.
Nah, I think that people are attributing the placement of the Algeria fight, which was smart. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't smart, but that's a false. It's like it's giving you a false perception of it that the only reason your fight got them numbers is because of spillover. We put you out after that fight, right? They put you out after that fight. You wasn't bringing in numbers like that anymore after that. You wasn't
I
beyond.
think
Yeah.
I think what we fail to realize too is there has to have be a certain charisma and charm to be a superstar. Canelo has it. Oscar had it. Floyd had it. You look at Caleb Plant at the presser. He looks out of place. Like he does. You have to have a charm and a bravado that comes across the camera to garner that reputation. None of these PBC guys have it. None of To's is forced. The only one that you could see that's genuine that just likes to be there is Virgil, because Virgil don't want to be a star,
Yo, look,
and,
look.
and that
This is the funny
translates.
shit. The confidence and the charisma and the character that you speak of is developed over time through the process. Floyd know, for example, let's use Floyd. Floyd knew what he was and who he was and how far he could go because he had the fights. That's where the confidence come from. But you see these PBC guys, right? Like Caleb, bro, you don't have the resume to give off that air. You cannot convince yourself. And we see that you cannot convince yourself. You haven't put the work in. Canelo has. Like it or love it. Yeah, he been in there with the Laras, the Trouts, the Cottos, the Golovkins, the Jacobses, the Smiths. Two of the Smiths. He beat two of the Smith brothers for two different belts at two different weights. He beat Billy Joe Saunders. The dude that Gennady was supposed to beat, he ended up beating him. And just for shits and giggles, let me beat up on an old Kovalev for a belt. All right? He got all of that in there. That's where the confidence come from. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, and you can't fuck with me. All right? What have you done? Mike Lee, Vincent Fagan, like, and I'm not even joking, but that's what you did, bro. So what the fuck do you got to be confident about? Because Ward told you some shit? He ain't tell you enough.
It's the same thing with
Speaking of
Usyk and
Ward,
Triple G.
um,
Usyk and Triple G. Look
yeah,
at them at the pressers. They're just confident. They have charisma. They're
Yeah.
charming. Even if they don't speak
you
English,
know,
you root for them because they're having intangible that you can't pinpoint. You just know they have it.
Look, when I wear this jean jacket, I feel like Canelo. Like, hell yeah, man. Get the fuck out of here, right? It's the confidence. Be there.
Payday.
yeah.
You want payday? All right, Virtuoso. What do you think about the shit? The confidence, the charisma. Where do you draw that? Where does the fighter, the elite level fighter, draw that inspiration from? Where does it come from?
The inspiration. I forgot what was the question was.
Well, basically,
Particularly,
you see a fighter like a Canelo, right? And you
right.
see a fighter like a Plant. You see that they come across very differently. And you're from where you're sitting. Why is that?
Hmm. Well, there's confidence, like in your ability to do what you got to do, and then there's confidence that's external, that is implanted in you by people that want to make money off of you.
Mm,
Guess who's in that situation?
Caleb.
So, yeah, man, I don't. It's like come November 6th, you're gonna like reality is gonna hit you if you're one killer plant, you know. Then you're gonna fight differently, So this is not. It's not about confidence. It's just exploitation of these young guys that are being brought up. They haven't gone through the ringer yet of opponents to really make a name for yourself. They think it happens, your name pops up, in people's minds just by happenstance. No, dude, you gotta prove yourself, man. You gotta build a career of a victories that, of a people that aren't that famous, but like are considerable to many hardcores. And then you build your name up. But they don't know how to do that.
They
Now,
don't want to. I'm
I
gonna
want,
say this, virtuoso. They don't even want
yeah,
to. It's not even they don't know.
yeah.
They don't want to because they
Mhm.
could offer up those situations. If you look at it, right, Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders. Not saying that he would have won, but those fights are more winnable for Caleb than this one. And you let those fights, you let them pass you by. You didn't try hard enough because think about it this way: if the PBC had it within their power to muster up $40 million for Canelo, right, guaranteed up front, why couldn't you muster up 5 for Billy to fight Caleb? Why couldn't you muster up 5 or 6 for Callum to fight Caleb?
Julius, don't be saying that, man. Don't be saying that. Don't be putting that out there. Julius,
And
don't be putting that out there.
he got to put it out there because you could just some fighters are built for it. When that camera turns on and it's time to talk about fighting, time to promote the fight, that's another performance. Some fighters have it, and these American fighters don't.
They
It's
don't.
very forced. You
I
turn that
believe
camera on. You turn that camera on. Canelo becomes a different star. He likes to talk. He likes to his personality
Drew.
comes out.
Drew,
Floyd's comes out.
I believe that today's fighters are a microcosm, and I know that I'm probably going way deep with this, but I do believe that today's fighters in America are a microcosm for today's Americans. They want everything given to them. They think they're special. They all think, no, we're not all special. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you, but no, we're not all special. Some of us are special and some of us are not. And that is what distinguishes the special from the not special. That dynamic. That some
Can
are. We're not all unique. We're not all special. Oh, no, we're not. Some
The
of us,
majority are average, and you're an
yeah.
average fighter. It's okay.
can can I mention a star who he wasn't a superstar, but he was a star. He was big, especially for me growing up, bro.
No,
And how it all worked out for him. And he wasn't a special fighter, but he was a hard worker.
no.
Ricky Hunton, right? Ricky worked hard. He garnished a huge fan base around him. He went around to, and this is how he did it. He would fight in his local area. He would go around to his local people. He would, he would get in there, and people knew who he was. They wanted to see this guy from their area succeed. They wanted to see that, and he garnished a massive fan base. Like he got an entire city. An entire city. You can get a country behind you that makes you a superstar. If you can get a city behind you, you're a star.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to put in that graft, if you don't want to be going on to all of the shows in the local areas, going down the local fucking gyms, going to kids' schools to do seminars and talk about how you've gotten to where you were, telling them why you're there. If you don't want to be doing that, people aren't going to know you.
Yeah.
And
They're not going
that's
to know
Ricky.
you.
Ricky was a star. He got 10 to 15,000 people to fly over here
Bro,
each
that's
time he
what I
fought.
mean, Drew. Like, if
That's a
Wilder,
star.
not that Wilder's people would ever let him fight in the United Kingdom, and once again, that speaks to what I'm talking about. Not that his people would ever even let him fight in the United Kingdom, but if he did, do you think the guys on Twitter and the guys on YouTube, these guys, these mutants, do you think that 10,000 of them would go over there to see him and support him? No,
No,
no.
they wouldn't. But don't forget, Ricky also did something a lot of these fighters won't do. He fought against somebody who had somewhat of a torch. He had a star that he beat in Costa Zoo,
Yeah,
who in his own country was a superstar. In
that's true.
Australia, Zoo was a superstar. He was
True.
mega.
But you
Like,
mentioned something that these fighters won't do. Like Ricky was at these club fights, at these gyms. Ricky loved
yeah,
boxing. The
They
day to
don't.
day, the day to day working class fan, because boxing's a lower class in the class system setup. It's a lower class sport.
Yeah.
Ricky was there
Ricky,
in the working man scene. Ricky, like he was accessible,
And
and
these
Rick,
guys, look, today's like a lot of the American fighters, not to say all of them, because I got high hopes for a good number of them, not associated with that particular brand. So I don't want to indict. I don't want what I say to be an indictment on fighters like, say, Jared Anderson or Tristan Calcaruth. I got a high opinion of those young guys. But the ones that we've been seeing the last 5 years, exclusive to a particular outfit, right? they don't want to be fighters. They want to be superstars or like rappers and shit like that. Like you don't really even want to. You don't even really love the shit. You know what I mean? How could you love the shit and sit out for that long, Gary Russell? How could you love the shit? You must not love the shit if you only want to fight once a year. You ain't fight at all this year. Keith, we know Keith don't love this shit. He ain't fought in 2 years. How could you love this shit?
Do you know what
Danny
sucks about that, Jay? Do you know
Yeah.
what sucks about that? It's like, look, before his comeback, right, to Jose Cito and the Manny, all of the fights that Keith had during his career, I want to say this, I loved watching the dude fight. I loved watching Keith fight. I'm not a Jay. I know you're not a Keith guy. I know you're not. But watching him fight, nobody can tell me this dude isn't an exciting dude to watch fight. His fights were always fun. Every time. Every single time. And he fought good fights. Him and Sean is a fun ass fight. Him and Danny is a fun ass fight. I love those fights. Him and Pacquiao is a fun
Bro,
ass
I
fight.
feel that way about Burt Cooper. All right, yeah, he's a fun guy to watch. Yeah, I feel that way about Derek Chisora. Dog, I feel that way about Ted Cheeseman and Anthony Fowler. I can't use that as, oh, well, Keith was so much fun. All right, yeah. What have you done the last 2 years? Seriously, because that's all I'm talking about. Is he probably a good
No,
guy?
that's not what I'm saying though.
All I'm saying
What I'm saying is it's disappointing where his career has gone, considering how enjoyable he was to watch and how he could be really fun for people to actually watch.
Yeah,
And that's why it's disappointing, dude. It's a disappointing thing.
I still got Derek and Liam and Anthony Fowler. They about to fight like that.
Yeah, but they're not disappointing. That's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. His career is disappointing.
It's annoying for me. Like you're saying, it's disappointing. I get you. For me, it's annoying because it's like, yo, dog. Like, is this all we got? No wonder boxing's in decline. This is what we got. This is it. Like, this is what we got. Keith Thurman. Danny don't want to fight Crawford. Like, when we gotta have these ridiculous arguments. When in our heart of hearts, we know he never wanted that fight. He doesn't want to know, and it's that simple.
Listen, I gotta say this, man, but this is my opinion. But like Andre Ward, right, who was the last gold medal winner, right, for the United States, right? To me, felt like the first gold medalist that like for men, exactly. The last one that kind of didn't matter. Like it took years for his name to grow until like what 7 years later after he won the gold. It was a Super Six series, and then all that momentum went away. You know, with the injuries and problems with his promotional things. Those are cautionary tales, man. Like I kind of wonder what his career would have been, how much more money would have been if Floyd wasn't around. It kind of reminds me of the NBA in the '90s. Like, what would happen if Jordan wasn't around? Would Elijah one would have won
I see your point
more
because
titles?
he was in their shadow. He was in their shadow. He was.
But then, with Ward, I'm gonna tell you because I'm from the Bay Area. Ward had that early American entitlement. You remember after the Super Six, after he beat Froch, Butte was that money fighter. Andre Ward scoffed at going to Butte's hometown to take that belt. And then Froch like, I'll be your Huckleberry. Knocked out Butte, got relevant again, and Ward was bitter ever since.
And that's what look.
Ward never wanted to fight outside of Oakland.
That's what I was going to say. That like
that's true.
With Ward, and you could see that. And look, I think he's a great fighter, so I don't want to but I can only tell you what I think. A lot of what I saw from Ward and what I feel like I'm still seeing from Ward involving Canelo and Plant and all of that stuff. He did an interview about it and he says there's no rivalry there, but I don't believe it. Why? Because of what I've seen from you. Why did you have this deep resentment of this fucking middleweight? You having promotional issues right now, bro. That middleweight is not your problem. Oh, he said he'll do. Bro, is that what you got to cling to? That bullshit? Sorry, but you're not going to turn people against him with that because we want to see him fight Canelo, not you. And we know that in 2015, ahead of the Cotto fight, everybody knew that that's about to happen. And if Canelo beats Cotto, we get Golovkin versus Canelo after that. And it was an exciting proposition. Nobody spent the real paying customers. I know I didn't spend a lot of time worrying about Golovkin versus Ward. All right, it just feels like whenever he sees a cat is doing good and he's not just skilled, but he has marquee value, which was always an issue for Ward. He never had much marquee value.
And he's not American.
And it bothers you. You know, it bothers you. It's like a sore spot. It feels that way. I don't know if that's the way it is. I just know outside looking in, I'm not surprised that, oh, now you want to get involved with Caleb. And somebody asked this question, and I think it encapsulates everything the best. If it weren't Plant versus Canelo, if it were Plant versus Benavidez, would Ward even be involved? Would he? I don't think so.
No, he wouldn't be. But look, Ward is. I think Ward is a bit sad that he was never excessively relevant at any point. I did think that's, to be honest. I mean, let's be honest. They mentioned Joshua during his career. They mentioned Golovkin. They did mention Canelo.
It feels like he was always in everybody's shadow. Honestly,
yeah.
But Ward brought those problems on himself with his promotional issues.
But look,
and he
I
wasn't
understand
active enough. Like, remember when he was talking that Golovkin stuff? He'd been out the ring 2 years. We know he wasn't going to cut down to 168 after not being in the ring.
How many people look? I'm just going to give a realistic perspective. We can say that all we want, right? But the reality of it is that he does have sour grapes, right? How many people do we know in our lives who fucked up but don't want to accept responsibility for it? How many?
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that?
Teofimo comes to mind.
I'm saying that real life.
Oh yeah, no,
not on
every day.
No, all right. I'm gonna say this. Look, Mark, I'm in 100% agreement with you. People are in denial about things bigger and smaller than what we're talking about, right? I think Ward, and I'm not playing him a violin. I'm not, but I'm being honest that I think it was a more difficult situation for him because he was in the shadow of Floyd. He was in the shadow of Floyd Manny because that's what everybody's attention was on while he was coming through and coming up and all of that. Beyond that, they started looking at Canelo and Golovkin. So it's like they always found there was always a reason. And the super middleweight division, especially in America, was not a characteristically popular division. It never was. It's only getting pressed now and popularity now because Canelo went there. Before that, Americans wasn't watching that weight class like that. They really wasn't.
And then he got more sour grapes because just imagine being a bigger guy in boxing, right? And you get outshone by the hardcore boxing fans by a dude who's 5'3".
Yep.
But it goes back.
That's never happened before, by the way. That's
I know, but
never happened.
It goes back to the point of Ward had his chance to get more relevant. Okay, let me go fight in Canada. Let me go rematch Froch in the UK. Let me raise my global brand. And Ward scoffed at all that.
He did, and he made mistakes. He's still going to have sour grapes.
It was a given. I think he felt that he's always just one fight away from the other side, and this is why I always come back to Floyd, even though Floyd is a very unpopular character. If you look at the pretty boy Floyd era, you see that like your dog. He had to fight Gennaro, he had to fight Chico, he had to fight Manfredi, he had to fight Castillo. It was a lot of things that happened before he became that money guy. So you're not gonna get to skip all of that because he didn't get to skip all of that. That's what he had to go through before he became the money guy.
And can I mention one other thing to do with Ward and this whole shadow of living in the shadow of pretty much everybody else around him, which did suck, right? This tells you how good this Canelo fight is, right? Because you have a fighter in Caleb Plant who is less relevant than a man who retired a few years ago and was in the shadow of everybody else.
No, dog. And
that's literally true. Everybody right now is. I haven't actually seen as much conversation about Plant versus Canelo as a fight as I have about what would happen if Ward and Canelo fought.
Well, I mean,
there was more breakdowns of Ward versus Canelo than there was of Plant versus Canelo. That's sad, man.
I think that.
I mean, I still thought he was on his prime. That's the thing, though. Yeah,
I still. How old he retired? 32.
I guess so. Like, yeah, 32. But like that light heavyweight division was materializing, and he just bounced. And look, man, I like Ward for putting a city on his back, but who was coming to Oakland other than Oakland people? He had a fight in Vegas where he had a fight in Vegas where it's a number 2 like tourist attraction in the United States, behind New York.
I think he was in an unfortunate situation because the other reality of it is, okay, you're at 68, not a characteristically popular division in America. That's the truth. Then you move up to light heavyweight. it's more or less the same situation there. It was a division that was becoming overrun with Eastern European fighters, not really guys that is the frick to your frack. Like, yeah, we could say Kovalev was supposed to be that, but we see how the pay-per-view performed. It didn't do big numbers.
Jay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would him versus Adonis been big for
No.
Undisputed?
No, because Adonis's fan base, a good chunk of it. Adonis had fans, by the way. He did have fans.
It was all up in Canada.
In Canada, bro. In Canada.
Same with Lucien Butte, like Drew was mentioning.
If he had fought Lucien in Canada, beat him, starched him, and then go up there again to fight Stevenson, it would have been big.
Yes.
You know what? What's crazy about that is Andre Ward could have been a huge megastar in Canada.
He could have been a global
Bro, he
star
could
if
have.
he took
He
the
could have
Butte
done.
fight
He
and
could have done the
rematch
Montreal
and-
screw job on Adonis, bro, and get that steal that belt from him.
He could have been he could have been low key, like on a very small level. You know how Pacquiao was called the Mexican killer, right? They called him that because he kept beating up Mexican fighters. Ward
Mexicutioner.
The Mexicutioner. Ward could have been a Canadian accuser. He could, if he would have beat Butte and then come back up there and beat Adonis, because Adonis had marquee value up there.
Could have been
drag Lemieux up before he could have dragged Lemieux up and started beating down on him.
That's what I was about to say.
He could have went.
He would have taken that fight.
He could have went to
Yvan Michel in Canada, I think, had a little more juice in Canada than Rock Nation had in America, because Rock Nation was a fledgling promotional outfit up until they fizzled out. They never got big. You just heard about them a lot.
What was the biggest fight Rock Nation put on?
I don't even know. I think it was Ward versus Kovalev.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a it was a pound for pound fight, right? Fantastic for us. But in terms of name notoriety, hey yo, that's bad.
And that was
Triller done a bigger fight than that, and they're defaulting.
Listen, man.
And that had to be their first fight in Vegas, right? Like,
yeah.
He fought almost exclusively to Oakland, and bro, you got to take a show on the road to really build your name up, man.
He could have fought. He could have rematched Froch in the UK with probably like 40-50 in a soccer stadium, and he didn't want to.
Don't look. We in a
80,000 at Wembley Stadium.
Listen, we in a strange time in American boxing because characteristically, the American audience does not watch the little guys, right? But 2 million people watched Lomachenko versus Lopez. You wouldn't have got that kind of viewership for Ward versus Kovalev. I'm telling you, you wouldn't have. You in a place where
you wouldn't. By the way, you wouldn't have done 50,000 seats in the UK at that time.
No.
Like when with Froch. The reason was Froch and Groves touched the stadium. It was never a stadium point. It never was. It was all of the build-up. That build-up, and then the referee stoppage and the way it happened. Every fucking person in the UK got wind of that. It was massive. Like, that was huge. There was no built-in, like, mad controversies about Ward and Froch. The UK fans would have looked at it like, this dude got beat the fuck up the first time. That wasn't really there for the UK fans. It really wasn't. Maybe they could have done 20,000 seats at an arena, like at the MEN. But doing 40, 50K, not at that time. Not at that time when the fight could have been made, no.
Hey, Ring, I'm gonna jump out and I'm gonna jump back in.
I bet battle.
Battle gonna go
just
learn
say
how to
that
inside
I
fight.
think once again, it's not playing a violin, but I do feel like the circumstances for Ward to try to achieve celebrity, given what else was happening, is difficult because you in the shadow of Floyd and Manny's fight. Beyond that, you in the shadow of Canelo and Golovkin's fight. And remember the whole buildup of Ward versus Kovalev, just when that fight was a hot topic and people were waiting for it and the fight's about to go down. People were still high on Canelo versus Golovkin. That was the conversation. That's what people was really, really talking about. So it's like he was always in the background of something else that was going on because characteristically, the super middleweight division is not a division that a lot of Americans watch. The same is true of the cruiserweight division, which is why so many Americans tried to shit on the World Boxing Super Series, even though it was a great series. A lot of Americans, they just didn't care. You know what I mean? But he put a stamp on it, like the dude that won the first series, the inaugural one. Well, he put a motherfucking stamp on it going up there to heavyweight. Like now everybody know him. Everybody know him. They might not know a lot about him, but they know him. Like, yo, this dude with a gap in his tooth, he just beat the big guy from the UK. They gonna know that much. It's fucked up, man.
All right, could I quickly say something? Because I want to jump off myself, but I haven't. I wanted to say something from earlier, but to be fair, you've all touched every point that I was going to touch. You know, touched them, apart
Oh,
from
my
the
bad,
one
bro.
of them. No, it's cool. It's good. It's good. It just shows that it's great minds think alike, because you've said everything really. The first thing I want to just touch on quickly before I bounce. Tiafimo Lopez, my G. This has been, I'm sure one of you, I think it was Ring, I think he said it on one of your episodes. It's the gift that keeps on giving, this whole Triller situation. It's so hilarious. And Mark, you said it as well. This is funny. It's actually a joke. I mean, if they had done this just through the normal proceedings, they probably would have had the fight in February, because that fight, the way it was just portrayed, is that now you beat Loma, just take care of your mandatory, and then we can get into some serious fights. And the thing is, I believe he would have probably moved up to 140 by them times there, because he had been saying from a while before that Lomachenko fight that he can't stay at 135 not much longer. He can't make this weight. The only thing is, maybe with the whole illness that he had, that might have made him lose a bit of weight or be able to hold down his weight a bit. But I believe that he's going to have a rougher time than he would have had in this Conversos fight, because of the fact that if what he was saying is that true about struggling to make the weight, I mean, look what happened to Liam Smith with the look at him now. It looks like a beast now. So that moving up in weight, like if you need to do it, you need to do it. Look at Shakur. Shakur didn't hang about. He just said, right, I need to move up. I'm gone. And this is, I'm thinking, if Tiafimo, what all him and his dad been saying is actually true, then he's gonna have a problem in this fight. Should have had it already. Should have moved up already and got on with his career. And the fact is, he thought he had made it already in terms of getting paid what you demand and these type of things, because he beat Loma. At the end of the day, yeah, and you're not undisputed, because that belt, you don't have it. So let's just stop all of that and all of this type of this thought process of his, like, I am undisputed. Blah, 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 blah. As a warrior, you should just be saying, all right, cool. You say I'm not the undisputed. Me and you have this fight, and I'll show you who's undisputed. That's how a warrior would think, really.
What's the
And then he would have that fight.
have?
And then he would have that fight with Devin over there. But that's not going to happen, because he's talking all this prima donna rubbish, Twitter war rubbish. It's a generational thing. And now he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, because what does he do if he now wins this fight? And hopefully, I think if everything goes how it looks like it's going to go, I would love for Eddie to say, Bob, have your fight. This is your fight you're supposed to have. Take your fight. It would be like redemption, in the sense that for it to go back to Bob. That would give me so much joke.
Bro, that would close the circuit if the fight, like, I honestly don't feel like it's going to happen that way. I feel like Matchroom will pick it up. But if by some chance Matchroom doesn't pick it up and it goes just right back to Top Rank, that'll be the funniest shit ever. Like really?
I'm telling you,
you did all this shit just for Top Rank to do it anyway?
I mean, until the other day when I read some rumblings that Eddie's talking about he does want to do the fight. I was thinking maybe he's gonna send it back to Bob. He's gonna send it back to Bob, and that would, my days, that would be hilarious. But this is the problem. These guys need to fight each other. I don't know what happened with Ryan. I don't really know. I don't really want to comment on that situation. I just think, because if I comment and say what I think, people are going to say that I'm insensitive. It's a sensitive era. It's a sensitive era right now.
Man.
So you can't say certain things.
Let me say something. Let me just say something, right? Let me just say something, and then I want to let Boxing Learner and Isan chime in and South London chime in on the subject. Let me just say this, right? Look, people have had mental health issues for forever. People have had mental health issues. This is the thing. Having mental health issues does not give you a free pass in life to behave however you wish. Accountability is a real thing. If you crumbled at the pressure, or you felt overwhelmed ahead of a Javier Fortuna fight, right? That's just Javier Fortuna. That's not even for a title, all right? How will you handle the pressure of a Lopez or a Haney or a Davis? How will you handle that pressure when you're crumbling with a Fortuna? That's a legitimate question. That's not insensitive. That's just the occupational hazard. Pressure comes with the job. Pressure comes with the territory. And if the real reason you pulled out of that Fortuna fight was just the way they said it, oh, it's because of the mental shit. Hey, then I don't know, B. I just don't really feel like you gonna make it. Like I don't, and I'm entitled to that opinion as much as anyone else is entitled to theirs. Like
100%, man. 100%. If you're showing me
how
this
could
type of
fighting Fortuna do that to you? If fighting Fortuna did that to you,
yeah, it's just a wrong career. It's just a wrong career. You know what I mean? You can go on. You're young, man. You can go and do stuff. This is just not the career path for you. If that's how you're gonna act, but I just really want to see Devin and Tiafimo. That's really what I want to see, and I want to see. Obviously, I've kind of written Tank off now. I've kind of just written him off because it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm telling you right now. Before he fought, what's the guy's name? He beat the champion in 2017, 16, 17.
Pedraza.
Pedraza. Before he beat Pedraza, I saw 2 fights before that, and I saw the Pedraza fight, and I was excited about this guy. I was like, oh shit, this guy is serious. And then I see him fighting a lot of fights that there's like, you know what I mean? You're bringing up man from lower weights and stuff like this. And this is when I started really kind of jumping onto YouTube and following YouTube chats and stuff and YouTube channels. And a lot of the channels, when I made my comment about, but he's fighting, they blocked me because of my little comments, because I'm just saying the truth, basically.
They kept blocking you.
So he's got a lot of protectors over there.
Look, they're doing, and I don't think that he will become a 4th division champion the way that Adrian did. I said this back in 2016, not because I wasn't mad at him. I'll say 2018, that I felt in 2018, because that's when I said it, that he's not even going to have a run like Broner had to where he becomes a 4th division champion because he doesn't have the dimensions for it. He's built like a tree stump. He's like 5'4". Like, bro, you're not going to make it. Imagine
you know
him.
what? I think he's supposed to be 147.
and not only that,
I think his natural weight is 147, and he will not do anything up there.
He won't.
Or 140. I don't think he'll do anything up there. But that's just because he's not having the fights to help him.
There are plenty of fans that know what they're up to. What Mayweather Promotions up to is that they're giving Tank these shortcuts to success through the WBA and these Reggie titles.
Now, we see what's going on with them, bro.
He could easily get that Taylor fight if he wants it. You know, Teofimo, unfortunately, is bogged down with all these mandatories down at lightweight. I think if he moves up, right, I don't think he's gonna fight, Josh Taylor straight up, because like he took a layover, bro, a year off just to fight a fucking mandatory, a nobody. But like he'll take care of that. But like after that, I think he has to take it easy before he face someone like a
Look,
Jose
he doesn't
Ramirez.
have to fight Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's gonna move up. If he's smart,
he has to settle into
move
the
up
new weight
now.
class.
Listen, the
Yeah,
shit
that's
is
what he'll
that
do.
the shit
He'll
is
move
that
up. He'll
Davis
have a few fights
Davis
up there.
doesn't have to fight Josh Taylor, for example. Fight your own contemporaries that are in your own age group, like Haney, Lopez, and Garcia. But you're not even gonna do that. You didn't fight Lomachenko. You had a whole division of guys that you could have given Davis actually good odds to beat. I think Davis could have beat what's this guy, Corrales, Jezreel Corrales. He probably could have beat that guy. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he would have beat Burchelt, maybe not. I don't know. You didn't bother to find out. You didn't fight shit. You beat Pedraza in 2017, and that's it. Nobody, I don't qualify that Leo Santa Cruz fight. Fuck out of it. Like, come on, dog. Like, fuck out of here. Nobody was high on Leo, so why would I be high on you beating him? There's no buzz around what's true. Now, I want to go to the box.
It's creating this false confidence, man. Yeah, sorry.
I want to go to the boxing learner. Boxing learner, what you think about the topic?
Oh, you mean Tank or the Cambosos thing?
Well, let's start with Lopez and Cambosos. What's your overview of that situation?
Man, that thing just got out of hand really, really fast. And I don't think, we know at first it looked like it was going to happen a couple of months ago. And then they started to, get their stuff together because Australia was never the place for the fight to happen, in my opinion. I think any Australian fighter needs to start coming to the States, in my opinion. And I just don't know how it just. I heard that that they Tiafimo, he signed off on the October 16th date,
If he
and then
did.
they moved it. They moved it without George Kambosos signing on it, so they didn't really give him a chance to agree. You know, they kind of forcing him to sign the October 16th, and when he didn't, the fight went off.
I mean, the situation with that is right. A part of it, the reason that, and I talked about it here on the channel, is that George doesn't feel they have the money. He's wary of their ability to pay the 2 million. So that's
Mm.
why, that's a part of why he's like, look, I've had enough, because he's wary of their ability to actually pay that money. He requested that they put the money in escrow, and what that tells me is, oh, wait a minute. So all this time, the 2 million that he's supposed to get, that wasn't in escrow, the 6 million that none of that was in escrow already, right there. Yeah, I would worry too, because with Brian Castano and Michael Sorrow, for example, Brian Castano and Michael Sorrow fought once a long time ago. The funds were not put in escrow.
Great fight, by the way. Check it out.
Yeah. But Brian didn't get his money until a month after the fight because the goddamn money wasn't put in escrow. So that is a legitimate concern for George. Like, it's not him being a prima donna or a diva. No, that's a legitimate concern that the money should be in escrow so that when the fight is over, the funds are released to me. I don't want to wait a fucking month for my goddamn money. All right, this has costed enough of my time. I understand it. Like, no, I get it. I get it. And that's a part of the issue that he had. So he's like, look, fuck that shit. I'm standing on my square. I signed the contract for the 4th. Now y'all trying to move it to the 16th. Enough already, B. Enough.
Wow, that's
So I dig
crazy.
it. I dig it.
That's crazy.
So what do you make of the conversation we just had about Tank and all of that shit?
Oh, Tank. Tank. I like Tank, but I know that he's not gonna fight anybody, so it's not. It's hard to like really get excited. But but he's doing. They doing a pretty good job with him. To the casual fans, the casual fans really like him. They don't really know about the guys he's fighting though. So
Yeah. I mean, so you're never gonna get a super fight with that guy, and a
mhm.
super fight is necessary, bro. Everybody that crossed over, Leonard, Floyd,
Every
Manny,
superstar has a super fight.
they have a
Mhm.
super fight, at least one. Some guys have more than one. Leonard had more than one.
Yep. That Lomachenko fight was the perfect fight, I think. But
Still, that wouldn't have been a super fight, to be honest with you.
true.
Loma's hype and like notoriety has been undercut in the United States by people who don't watch boxing, and
Mm.
they expect him like Teofimo to be a star or a multimillionaire off of that fight. I mean, what did you expect? I
Yeah,
don't think like this layover really affects his performance as far as who he's facing, but it definitely affects his fans.
Oh,
His the fans' interest in him, all
yeah.
this diva shit.
I think they're gonna
And
drop
his
the belt.
trajectory.
you think
They're
they're gonna
gonna,
Well,
drop the belt?
yeah, they're gonna drop the
yeah,
belt.
I do too. I don't think the Cambosos Theo fight will happen. I think the belt's going to
Really?
go big.
Hot
Yeah.
take. Hot
I don't
take.
think so.
Hot take. Hot take. I mean, look, we know who the second highest bidder was. The second highest bidder was Matchroom. We also know that a little over a week ago, Matchroom said, yep, they are still interested in doing a fight if Triller defaults. So I'm kind of hoping that, for the sake of the fighters, right, that the fight happens so they can make some money. It won't be what they would have, what they thought they was going to make. But Triller can do that. I mean, Triller. The Zone can do that fight in November. I think they can. Get it done before the end of the year so at least they make some fucking money, right? But we'll see,
Devin
because
Haney as
you
the
guys
co-main.
might be right. You guys might be right. The shit might not happen, and he might decide, you know what, fuck this year, I'm going up to 40. Fuck this year. I'm just going to go up to 40. That could happen too.
Yeah, that's what he should do. He's wasted so much time, on this fight that I thought was going to be like the phenomenal fight at lightweight. Maybe hopefully take another one at a lightweight against Ryan or Loma. But nah, man, that's it. After this, you got to move up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think Devin's wasting his goddamn time. I heard they trying to make a Lee Selby fight for him, and I'm like,
Oh, good
yo,
God.
yeah, bro. Like, I'm like, yo,
You
I don't
know,
You know what? I
understand. Like,
would have
Jay,
why
I
are
preferred
you
can't
sitting
wait.
Raj
at
over
35?
Gamboa.
Jay, I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. I can't wait for all these supposed superstars to leave this division, and we see a dominant lightweight in William Zepeda come through and pick up those fucking belts, bro. I cannot wait for the era of William Zepeda, because that dude's just going to beat down on people.
And he's got. And by the way, the Mexican audience will end up getting behind him. Wait
Yeah,
for it.
because
Wait
more
for it. It'll be William
don't
Zepeda.
want to fight. Like, look, right? Like we always talk about the plight of Devin Haney on this channel, right? But even with that situation, and I won't slander him, but I do ask myself, does he really want those fights? I just ask, like, does he really want Ryan and all that shit? I ask
You
because
can
I'm like,
say it.
I'm just saying that I don't know. I'm not even gonna knock him. I'm just saying, like, yo, I really don't know.
Yeah. No, I feel you because you can say you want all these fights, but if you don't have the fights, we don't really know.
And you
We don't
still
really
there. What aggravates me is, look, Ryan Garcia's not happening this year. I mean, it's not. So go to 40. Lopez ain't happening. Go to 40, bro. Just go beat him there. Go to 40 because Gervonta Davis already went up there, right? So go to 40, line yourself up for a belt. Maybe you don't feel ready for Josh. Maybe you don't. So maybe you don't fight him. But you can line yourself up for a belt so that after he leave, you're in a position to get one. Because what you're doing now is just like, yo, you just wasting time, bro. Nobody wants to see you versus Shelby.
If I could just chime in real quick.
Go ahead.
I forgot. I don't know who the guy's name is, but he was like, the fight needs to happen in America. Now, this is where I disagree with that, right? Because we're out of that era where the fight needs to happen in America. We've left that era time ago. Yeah. I'm not Australian. I'm not caping for the Australians. Yeah. But I'm saying that if Kambosos can draw significant crowd, if Kambosos can sell pay-per-view to the Australians, if the fight is a bigger fight in Australia, then it should happen in Australia. Yeah?
Yeah.
So boxing is all about the money, it's all about the prize fighting. And also, there's nothing wrong with Teofimo going to Australia, putting on a boxing clinic over there, getting some Australian fans, and then flying back to America. There's nothing wrong with it.
I agree.
So
No.
South London, to your point, you know that the original plan was for the fight to be in Australia. That was literally the original plan. Before anything, just before it got to this, they were actually talking about doing a fight, and not in the middle of the pandemic. Before all of that, they were saying, yeah, we want to do it in Australia. And funny enough, David McWhorter and Teofimo was on board. They was actually on board for the shit. So it's like, yeah, if it's more money in Australia, then do it there.
Do you know what's mad as well? Yeah, people have to start getting into the habit of actually having fights that mean something, right? Like that fight doesn't really mean anything to us, right? In one way, shape, or form. But to the Australians, that would have been everything, right? And if Teofimo performs, he's got a whole set of new fans that he can now make money off.
Look,
who says he can't go and have another fight in Australia again? If that's his new market now. Do you know what I mean?
Some of these things, South London. He says he wants Taylor, but you tell me, what you want Taylor to come to you? Are you willing to go to the UK, fight on Sky? Because the way I look at it,
hold on. Before we even
turn that into a big fight before ESPN.
Jay, before we even do that, right? Let's go back to Oscar Valdez versus Robson Conceição. And Teofimo was there on an interview, and they mentioned Josh Taylor, and he said out of his own mouth, "Well, I'm the lightweight champion. He's the junior welterweight champion. I'm 135, he's 140. We can do that fight at 137.5 pounds. He don't want that fight.
No,
he said it.
He don't.
He said it. He don't want that fight.
Look, Mark,
Tio
you know that
is his
Mark,
dad's son.
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and entertain the comment and face value. But you want my honest opinion? Do I really believe him and his father want Taylor? No. You was just riding his wave because he was making waves at that time. If it comes down to going
Jay,
to
he's going to be a champion at 140. But
He will.
Taylor's going to move. Taylor's going to move up. Yeah, and Teofimo's going to fight against Arnold Barboza. He's going to fight Barboza for the 140-pound title in the WBO. Barboza's currently 2. Catterall's number 1. Teofimo will be able to invoke mandatory status
to be able to go to that with the WBO Super once Josh moves up. So it'll be Barbosa versus Tiafimo. It's all in house. It's all on Top Rank, and it makes complete sense. And it's the closest one to work on divisional with the least amount of risk.
Yeah.
There you go.
And honestly, I mean, I thought about the situation, and I want to pass it back to South London because I think he wanted to make a couple more points. All I'm gonna say is this: if you ask yourself, if it came down to okay, I've moved up to 140, and I quote unquote want Josh Taylor, where's the fight gonna be? You don't want to travel. You don't want to travel. He's undisputed, but so are you. But where does the fight stand to make more money? Call me crazy. I'm not saying that Josh is a household name in the United Kingdom, but I feel it's a bigger fight on Sky than it is on ESPN because you're not a big name here, and he's not a big name there. But Sky can sell that fight. Sky can. Yeah. They'll promote it right. It's too easy for you to get drowned out by everything else that's on ESPN because obviously it's not just boxing on ESPN. And I know it's not just boxing on Sky, but I think that Sky would put more effort into that fight than they would here in America.
I think if they had it in Josh's country of birth, I don't think he'll have any problems with selling tickets. And the thing is, yeah, I watch sometimes I stay up till like 4 in the morning to watch fights in the States. Yeah, and I'm surprised that the market doesn't look like it's growing all now. Like it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It's almost like you're begging fans to come to the fights, and then in like maybe the last 1 or 2 days of ticket sales, a few people buy tickets. Like they literally wait to lastminute.com to buy like a ticket from wherever they're getting it from. Some bootleg tickets, I don't know. But I'm getting sick and tired of this. Like the Americans now need to understand, listen, you man should just get on the habit of being like gypsies and fighting anywhere. Just start traveling around the world. Go knock out man in Japan. Go knock out man in Australia. Go knock out man in UK. Go do this because it makes sense for you. Build up your brand to the point where now Americans can now take notice of the work that you're doing and saying, hold on, the American fighters are the baddest motherfuckers about right now. I need to start going to watch the fights because they're going to Australia. Look at the crowds. Look at the way people are singing. They're going to the UK. Everyone's going wild. I want to go to the next fight in the States. There needs to be
too much of what they're doing is for appearance's sake. Like, unless you go to the fights or you talk to people that go to the fights, right? Most Americans don't realize that last minutes, if the tickets don't sell, what they'll do is they'll paper the house and they'll give them away just to give off the appearance of a sellout crowd. Even though, no, you didn't sell out. You didn't generate that kind of interest. There was a video after Pacquiao versus Ugas about 2 guys whose seating was improved closer to the ring. They were supposed to be up in the nosebleeds, but that's another form of just papering the house, bringing the audience in so it gives that appearance of, oh yeah, everybody came out for the fight. No, you getting to the point to where you got to give away tickets for the fight, B, because they're not selling. All right, you can't fake an interest. To South London's point, I do agree with that. Like, yo, Americans got to come off of their high horse, and you got to become road warriors. Because here in America, no, you're not a star. You're not. Sorry, you're not.
In America too, if you can't get fans over here, why won't you go somewhere else and do it? You know what I mean? Like Tio, he shouldn't care about going over to Josh and fighting him. It's a big fight if you really want it.
Big fight. You don't want to subject another fighter to what you subject fighters to. Fighters got to come over here and fight the fucking American peacock, the prima donna. But you won't fight under those circumstances. That says something about
Do
you.
you know one thing? I don't know about I don't know about Clarissa Shields' UK fan base. I don't really think her US fan base. I'm not sure if it's that sick. But if she's gonna fight on normal UK time regularly, you never know. She could build up a decent fan base because Sky do wonders. A lot of people got Sky and a lot of people watch the fights.
And
So
Savannah, they asked Savannah, where's the fight gonna be? Savannah said the fucking fight is in the UK. If Clarissa fights her in the UK, win or lose, I gotta give you really believe you can win this fight to have it over because you're not a knockout puncher. You're not. So you stopping her, nah, it's gonna go to the cards. But you really believe in yourself. If you fight in the if she does, let's see, because that's just what Savannah said. I don't even know if that's what's gonna happen.
and another thing is, fair enough, Joshua lost the fight, but did you see the atmosphere? Did you see the crowd? Like that crowd was 67,000 people. That's what boxing's all about, bro. When did it become a thing where no one cares about the fights, but we're persisting that it must happen in the States? Like no one cares over there. They care about the basketball and the American football and all this other stuff. They're not really caring about the boxing. So they need to now stop losing money in the States and now start trying to conquer other territories because it's doable. Because America's been selling the world products for years.
Yeah.
It's just that they can't sell it to their own people because they're not buying it no more.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
sell it to everyone else, we'll buy it.
It's a mentality, to be completely honest with you, and I said this earlier, that I feel that the state of American boxing is the state of the American populace. It's a microcosm for it because everybody thinks they're special, everybody thinks they're unique, everybody feels entitled, everybody thinks their story is the most. No, I'm sorry to say this, and I'll say it again. Everybody's not special. If everybody's special, then nobody's special. That's how that works. Okay, you can't all be superstars. No, you can't. And the grim reality of it is, no, I think Beats said it the best. Shout out to Boxing Beats and Rhymes. You don't have to be pound for pound #1 to be a successful boxer. You don't. You don't have to be pound for pound #10 to be a successful boxer. You don't.
Ryan Garcia.
You can take the money that you make as a boxer and flip houses or do what Joe Smith did and invest in a logging company. You could do a lot of different things and be successful. But you're not a superstar. Like guys like Keith Thurman. That dude really think he's a superstar. Nah. You're not.
No. They think of themselves as these boxing greats of the past. When, dude, there's no the money that you think you're getting is not as big as it was back then. The pot has gotten smaller, and you guys are being petty over this shit, causing you to do all this diva shit, trying to preserve your O, and that's gonna hurt the fans' interest in the sport. Behind all this money that's being given to the NBA, the NFL, these TV deals, boxing is like dead last in terms of American sports.
I mean, it is.
You're
It's
right,
not even.
bro.
It's
You're
not even
right.
an exaggeration. It is. Look, the top earning athlete, right, is Canelo. He's a boxer, but he's not an American boxer. He caters to an American audience, but he's not an American boxer. And it's the example is in front of you. It is in front of you that Canelo's a young guy. He's only 31 years old. He's not an old guy, but he's only 31 years old. You look at the 31-year-old fighters, some of these guys that are 31, 33, you know what I mean? It's a lot of guys. They ain't got a resume like Canelo. So why would you
Let me
expect to be treated
let,
like
let
that?
me ask a question. If Canelo fought in Wembley, does he sell it out?
Maybe. Depends on who.
I think it depends on who he's fighting, but I believe, as an example, if he
Chris Eubank.
decided to have that, yeah, exactly, it would sell. It would sell.
I think that and this is going to sound strange, right? Not that I think this fight is going to happen, right? But let's say you get Canelo Alvarez versus Chris Eubank Jr. at the O2 Arena super middleweight title fight. I think that fight does good business. I think it does good business.
They get promoted as Chris is, taking after his father's steps and trying to become the super middleweight champion, and it'll do good business for sure. That fight.
Yeah, I don't know how many. Not to be honest, because he's done what he's done. I don't know how many more fights like that there are for him. At or around that weight, because it's well, you already beat Billy and Callum. Those would have been big fights in the UK. Yeah, you could have sold the O2 with those fights. You could have sold it out.
But you know one thing as well, just to touch on that point of whether it would sell in Wembley or not. The reason why I think it can is because also although England's a small country, some Brits will come. A lot of Brits will come. But also, because we're in Europe, there's a lot of other European nations, Latinos around the world that are based in Europe that follow Canelo Alvarez that might not want to come to the States, but they'll come to England to watch the fight.
And
So
traveling in Europe is a lot easier than traveling in America. You could be in a country, in a completely different country, in a matter of hours. So
Oh no, bro. Not even. I'm in Ireland, right? So I'm a bit further away from a lot of countries. I can get to Germany in an hour.
like that, B.
It takes me 35 minutes to get to Manchester.
It's like that.
And it's like what? It costs me if I go Ryanair, I can get to Greece for like €26, and it'll take 2 hours 25 minutes.
So I mean, I think that there were genuine possibilities. The only UK fight I could see Canelo having at this point that would do any kind of business is a Eubank fight. I think it could be done, but just beyond that, the division's done for now. You know, I honestly feel like Yanni Beck is probably going to take over middleweight very soon, maybe next year or by the end of next year. Super middleweight, the reset button's going to get hit. I believe Benavidez will catch a belt on the rebound because I don't think Canelo's going to stay there. Why would he? To do what? He'd probably go back up to light heavyweight. He's in a position where he can use his WBO status to challenge Joe Smith when he comes back. He can do that as a super WBO champion. Maybe he does that.
But he's already
Johnny
getting a
Beck,
mandatory out of the way, though.
that dude is gonna be the great reset in the middleweight division, man.
I think so.
I don't want to Kazakhs in a row, huh?
Yet, but I think so.
Hold on. Before we get too into that, right? There's other very good fighters in around middleweight who are not getting like any notoriety yet. Who Janabek would also have to fight, who could be champions in the future, like Esquiva Falcao. He's a very good fighter himself. I don't know if he does. I think he does. That's my thing. They both have comparable wins. Falcao just beat the shit out of Akavov, bro.
Yes, but he's small, bro. Falcao is not going. He's a little middleweight. Like, he's not a big. He's a little dude, bro.
What?
Bro, I've seen him. I saw the Akavov fight. He's not big. He's just a little bigger than Curtis Stevens. Like, he's not big, bro.
I get you. He's 5'10", bro, but he's heavy. Do you know what weight he was in the Akavov?
Ain't no way.
He is 5'10". He is 5'10". He is 5'10".
That dude look 5'7" or 5'8".
Nah, he's 5'10". Legit. 100% 5'10".
Oh well, I still pick. I picked Yanni Beck to kill him because he got killer in him.
It's gonna suck if Yanni Beck loses out of nowhere. And then it's like, oh, now who does middleweight have now?
I mean, really, those actually are two of the top guys. You got outliers like what's this guy's name? Kanat Islam. I think he's undefeated, but that dude is like, ain't he pushing 40?
He's an older boy. He's an older.
If Maul moves up, we can get Mel there eventually, possibly. That'll add some, spice to the division.
There's some good talent in that division, man. But like most people just don't know who they are yet.
They need to see somebody familiar. What they need right now is for Yanni Beck to smoke somebody that is like
gonna
familiar.
be boo-boo.
Because he smoked Rob, but he smoked Rob, and I think it was a good win. But they need him to smoke someone that they need him to smoke Andre, really.
Yeah. Do you know who else could be a good fixture in the middleweight division? I know he's only been at British level so far, but Felix Cash. What he did with Denzel Bentley and Jack Cullen, he went through those guys, man. He went straight through them. He hits really hard. And rewatch that weigh-in. Me and Beats were talking about it, him and Denzel Bentley. Felix Cash is fucking huge. He's huge.
Well, I think that
built like a shed.
Felix has the possibility, right, guided properly, to become a bigger marquee attraction than Yanni Beck. Believe it, yeah, with the UK.
Because he can get a UK audience.
With the UK, yeah, he can be a real attraction. But the thing is, the path to a belt. How does it happen? Who's he ranked with? We know that Golovkin is about to try to unify 2 world titles. I don't know how you feel about his chances, Mark. I haven't heard you weigh in on that fight. Just what do you think of that? I think it's going to be a fun fight to watch. But
Weigh
how do
in on
you,
which fight? Which fight?
Murata?
Look, I get that Golovkin's older, right? And so is Murata, right? I need to say that Murata's been older. Murata to me hit a decline about 4 years ago. Golovkin's decline has kind of happened. I'm not even going to say decline because of the Derevianchenko fight, because that's a really tough fight. That's a harder fight to me than that Murata's been in. I'll just leave it like this, right? Murata hasn't fought in 2 years.
He hasn't.
Golovkin's going to out jab him. I think it's going to look like the Lemieux fight.
I also want to ask you, because it's not even just because picking Golovkin to win is a given. Like it's completely understandable. But what does he do after that? Like, what is he gonna do? What, you're gonna fight Andre after that? Are you gonna retire? What are you gonna do?
If he
Keep
fought
fighting
Boogie,
mandatories?
that would be great. That would be great.
That's the $1 million question.
Like, what is he gonna? Because I'm like, yo,
Eubank.
dog, that dude is about to
Eubank.
be 40. He is
Eubank.
literally about to be 40.
Chris is always there though. He wants big money fights. Chris ain't going nowhere.
That's
Fuck
true.
around,
That
get
is true.
fuck around, get Golovkin versus Eubank in the UK instead of Canelo. When we were talking about Canelo Eubank, I'm like, wait a second. It's possible it's more likely we get Golovkin Eubank than Canelo, honestly.
And that's fair. That is fair. Like, I could, you know what? You just answered the question for me. Like, if he beats Murata, the next logical fight really is Eubank in 2022. I wouldn't write it off. That does make sense for two world titles at like the O2 Arena. Yeah, that makes sense.
Golovkin's been in the UK before with Brook, so they've seen him already. His fights have been shown there before with Canelo, and Brook is in the WBA.
I'll give you a fight he could have that may shock people. He may fight Sergio Martinez. Because if he beat Murata, Sergio Martinez is number 3 in the WBA. I ain't even fucking, bro.
I know,
the battle of the old boys.
But I'm like, nah, they're not gonna let him fight. They're not gonna let him fight Sergio over like.
No. He ranked with the WBA though.
He is though. He's in the top 5.
He's number 3. He's number 3 with the WBA. Bro.
No,
yeah,
I know, but
no, it is true.
It is
Mark, I think you should keep quiet about this, because if Triller overhears this thing, they're gonna Asian the fuck out. They can pick up this fight.
Triller won't be able to get him because they're not going to want to default on another fight after Golovkin's massive paycheck over in the zone.
You're assuming he makes it through Brian Rose, and I don't even know, dog. Like because he's fighting Brian Rose.
Brian Rose was shot when he was 22.
But isn't it more likely they order Lara or Eubank to face Golovkin because they're in line more than.
They may be. Hold on. They may be in line, and right. But I never said this is a mandatory. It's a voluntary, my dude. Anybody in the top 10?
Nah, that's like 10 years too late, buddy. That's like 10 years too late.
Hey, yo, I got a question for you. How long you've been watching boxing a while, right? You know how this sport works, right?
Yeah, I know.
What's more likely to you? No, I'm asking you the honest question. The way boxing is working right now in this landscape, what's more likely? Golovkin Chris Eubank Jr. or Golovkin Sergio Martinez?
Golovkin Eubank for me. The money.
I said more.
The money.
More likely.
Eubank.
Honestly, I think. Look, Adam Smith. If you saw the IFL interview with Umar, he sounded very bitter. He doesn't have a lot. He said that Eddie left with the zone and he didn't leave us with very much. They need content, and that's a good pay-per-view fight. It's pay-per-view word. Wasserman said that they want to do big fights for Eubank. Okay, what big fight, bro? What big fight? You already said it's not Billy. You're not fighting Billy. So what are you gonna do?
Well, Chris needs to get some type of mandatory, because what if Eddie and Golovkin don't want to do that fight and don't want to work with Sky?
I mean, you can. Eddie would do the fight. This is what I believe. Eddie would do the fight.
Golovkin, though, you need.
Golovkin would do the fight because the zone can incentivize it for him, and so can Sky. Let it be in Sky, on Sky in the UK, the zone everywhere else. It can be worked out.
Why would he do that if he could just fight Martinez and then do the Eubank fight?
Because
Bro, because he's got two. He's got 2 fights left on his contract after this one.
They're not dumb over there, bro. They're not gonna give him buku dollars to fight old ass Sergio. They're not. Come on now, really? They're not.
They might not, but he can still have it. He can have this. No, it's the Murata, then Sergio, then Eubank.
I mean, I don't know. His career is a mess to me right now. Not a mess, but it's just like I don't know what's gonna happen. I could see him
You see,
fighting.
Yeah,
I
it's up
think
in the air.
Golovkin wants to fight Sergio because he ducked him earlier in his career. I think he wants to. I think
But
he wants to beat the shit out of him.
Is the financial incentive there though for that fight? You think? Like who?
Yeah, like how is
Like it was with Steve Rolls and Camille Cesare Mete. Yeah, let's talk about financial incentive with Golovkin. Yeah, let's just do that.
no, that is a fair point.
That's true. That's true.
But I
That
honestly
bullshit.
feel like, look, because Sky, they don't have to worry about paying Matchroom or Joshua tons and buckets of money, right? So they got a budget to play. I feel like they could make a sweet deal, a sweet bid for a Golovkin Eubank fight. I think they could do that. I think they
Now,
could do that.
if that fight happens, who wins?
I mean, Eubank.
Obviously, Sergio.
No, I'm talking about Golovkin Eubank.
Nah, I mean, look, I saw Eubank's last
He
fight.
don't make it through Sergio to get to Eubank, bro.
Come on, Mark.
You talking about Golovkin?
Yeah, bro. Sergio Martinez gonna take off one of his legs and beat him over the skull with that bitch.
Come on, man. Like Sergio, how old is Sergio?
He's like, I need a
46?
new knee.
Sergio is 46 years of age.
Bro, that dude is well old, dog. Like,
I mean, I was about to ask if they sanction that, but I'm like, you know what? They'll sanction anything at this fucking point.
they'll sanction it. It's just that I don't see that. I don't see, like, I honestly believe that Adam Smith and those guys at Sky, they'll make a serious bid to get a Golovkin fight.
I think if oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say can you imagine how much the boxing world would light up if after Murata, if Golovkin wins and they announce Golovkin versus Andre maybe in 2022, how fucking shocked would the world be? I'll be like, this must be a goddamn dream.
It won't
Mark,
happen.
I'll be jumping out of my seat.
It won't happen, bro. Like I would love to be wrong about that, but I'm not.
But
waiting.
even if it does happen, right? Even if Andre and Golovkin fight, yeah, that's a big fight. Where?
Word, right?
Exactly.
Like what they gonna do it in Rhode Island?
Dunkin' Donuts.
I mean, they're gonna have to put in a garden, basically.
Unless they
in New York.
Unless they make a country and put all the hardcores on that island, yeah, where they could go watch certain fights or whatnot. Like, I just don't see how it's a big fight. It's a big fight for the hardcores, but it's not.
Maybe MSG, I guess.
I mean, it could be. Would they sell it out though? Do you think they sell it out?
No, to be fair to Golovkin, right? He's not a superstar, but he has a fan base.
No,
he does. And they're a loyal fan base.
Look, he can sell it. No, right. Let's stop being pessimistic. Yes, with the right promotion, I honestly believe he could sell out the Garden with that fight. I honestly believe, yes, he could. I honestly believe
against Andre
in a 3-belt unification.
I honestly believe he could. I do. And I'm not talking about the Hulu Theater. I'm talking about the Garden. I think he can sell out the Garden. I do. With that fight, though, it has to be that fight. It can't be Golovkin versus Martinez. It can't be Golovkin versus. With that fight, yeah, I think he could, because Andre would talk a lot of fucking shit. Remember that. He's a talker. He talks a lot of shit. He'll sell that fight. And Golovkin, we already know what we need to know about Golovkin. So yeah, I think they could do all right with that fight.
If it's not too far from here, so even be surprised if a bunch of people travel there.
Breaking up, my friend.
You know, that fight too, so I can see that.
Hey, yo, RoboCop, we ain't hear nothing you say.
He said CP3O.
Repeat that. Go to the signal. Get the signal, bro. I didn't hear that.
Nah, but honestly, yeah, like I'm not even being optimistic, because Andre is a talker, and he is a talker. I think he could. I think between the talking of Andre and what is already known about Golovkin, you know, he does have a fan base. To Mark's point, that's very true. He still does. I think you could. I think they could sell out that fight in Madison Square Garden. I do. I do.
Do you know the way I viewed it? I just viewed his lack of English. I mean, he can speak English, but not the greatest. But between his lack of English and Andre's not being a marquee fighter, even though he's got a belt, it just I was just struggling to see how they would sell out MSG. I mean, they could probably sell out somewhere a bit smaller. I don't know, but
Think about it
for
this
me,
way.
I don't.
Think about it this way, South London. Think about it this way. Because Andre is a talker. Remember, he crashed Canelo's press conference after the Canelo fight. You know, a lot of people saw that. They did see that.
Yeah,
They already know Golovkin. You know, they already know. And if they see, oh, he's fighting an unbeaten champion, it's not that Andre is. It's not that people aren't familiar with Andre. You know, they're familiar with him. It's just that he's not popular. So if you tack him on to Golovkin, yeah, you could sell a couple tickets with that. It's in Madison Square Garden. Yeah, you could. You could.
You know
Because
what?
he did all right with Lemieux. Nobody
Hold on.
fucking
Let
knew
me just
Lemieux.
say this. With no promotion, Golovkin and Steve Rose had 12,350 people there.
There you go.
12,000.
There you go. Moderately priced tickets.
And that was
yes.
at the MSG.
Moderately priced tickets. I mean, I'm not talking about, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 for ringside seats, but moderately priced tickets. Yeah, you could sell out Madison Square Garden.
They really could.
He could. With that,
You know,
but it
and
has to be that
I could
fight.
see him. I could see him using like if they do make that fight, I could see him in a press tour, like using this fight to promote himself for the next fight, which is Canelo. I mean, he could use the WBO to get that belt, to force a title, a title fight in 168, if he wins.
Yeah, because how excited would he be? Andre, if he were lucky enough, not that I think he's gonna be, but if he were lucky enough to land that fight, should Golovkin beat Murata, he'll sell a goddamn fight. He's gonna talk a lot of shit.
Yep.
How come Golovkin hasn't fought for a while?
Well,
I mean, by the time he fights Murata, right? By the time because I think he fought Zeramata in December of last year. So by the time he fight Murata, it will be a year since he fought. Right now, it's like 10 months since his last fight.
And he's turning 40 in March. So
clock's ticking, B.
Yeah, man.
I think Andre to help sell that fight. I think Andre is because he's not popular. I'm saying for the press tour for that fight, he'll talk wild shit and he'll sell a fight. He will help sell a fight. He would.
Do you not think he's more likely to end up fighting Canelo again?
Who, Golovkin? I'm not sure because look, it's a possibility. I don't dismiss it because if Canelo gets all the belts at 168, you think Golovkin will go up there for him? He wouldn't go up there for nobody else, but he'd go up there for him for that last payday at 40 fucking years old. Because to Virtuoso's point, the dude turning 40 in March. You that last paycheck, that last hoorah, yeah, he'll go up there and get knocked out. Get knocked out.
Because the zone has been pushing for that fight for a little while now. So if they can't get him, if he goes undisputed and because I'm 50-50 if he's gonna start fighting the bigger guys. I'm 50-50 if he's gonna jump up and start fighting them. So
that's a bad move for a 40-year-old.
So maybe he fights Golovkin again on a realistic one.
Look, I'll say there's a 50 to 60%, and I think I'm being generous with 60. It's more like a 50 because a 40-year-old fighter, only one professional loss, right? Your biggest paycheck is Canelo. Anybody at or around these weights, your biggest paycheck is Canelo. We know the zone likes to fight. They like to fight. Outside of a mandate coming down, maybe Canelo don't want to leave 168 just yet after going undisputed. And you fight Golovkin. It's more money than you'd make with Benavidez. It's more money than you'd make with anybody else at that weight. So yeah, I mean, I think he'd be open to knocking his ass out because there's a good chance that he knocks him out at 68. I wouldn't dismiss it, but I also view Eubank as a possibility because Canelo and his people said they want to go to the UK. They said that. So I'm like, well, yeah, if you want to go to the UK, who you gonna fight in the UK? Eubank. He get his ass knocked out though, man. Golovkin to get his ass knocked out. That's
Yeah,
how I feel.
I don't like the idea of him moving up there. And not even that I think a headshot would stop him. I think a body shot would. He's too old at this point. And
Could I
you
say
saw him.
one
You saw him
thing about?
wincing when Sergey was hitting him down there.
Could I say one thing about Eubank? He's not looked good in a while.
No, he hasn't. And I don't.
And
He didn't look good in
he
his
did
last
not
fight.
look good against Marcus Morrison. Now we can make fun of Golovkin's opposition all we want, but Cesar Mete and Steve Rolls would outbox Marcus Morrison. They would.
Sergey would stop him.
I mean, because he was experimenting with a new style, I cut him slack. You know me, Mark. I like to try to be understanding, perhaps too understanding. But the reality is, no, you didn't look good in that fight. You didn't look wow.
He didn't
Nobody
look
said
good.
wow
He
in that
didn't look
fight.
good in the 2 rounds with Matvey Korobov. He hasn't looked good in a long time, and he hasn't fought. People want to talk about inactivity and stuff, and Golovkin getting old and stuff. Eubank is fighting like a retired fighter.
He is, because it was the Korobov fight. I don't know what the fuck he did after that, if anything. He pops back up because he got stuck with Roy during the pandemic. He said that he had to stay with Roy for that time. And he fights Morrison. He didn't look like nothing with Morrison. Like, he just didn't look like shit. Like, look, an inspired Felix Cash fuck around gives him a run for his money.
The last time Eubank actually had a fight that was tough, where the opponent wasn't shot or injured or crap, was George Groves.
Right. George Groves.
That was 2018, fellas. Right? In the last, since 2019, right? So since February 2019, he fought the Gale, shot. Matvey Korobov, injury.
Yep.
Right? Marcus Morrison, trash. Let's just call a spade a spade. This dude ain't exactly on an incline. He's had 3 fights in the last two and a half years.
Does he fight before the year is out?
I think he will have a fight on Boxer, but I don't know when. Maybe he'll have a fight next month. They'll get some reset or whatever. But he's had 3 fights in the last 2.5 years. Golovkin has had 3 fights in the last 2 years.
How old is Chris?
Chris is, I want to say, 32.
It's fucking wild, bro. And he want to be the A side to Billy. Look. I'm not a Billy's Joe Saunders apologist, but you really not the A side to Billy.
Billy's been more active than Chris.
He's not the A side to Billy. Like, I know that I don't want to sit here and have an argument about that shit, but it's like, bro, Billy was a champion at 2 weights. He just fought Canelo Alvarez. He's been in way bigger fights than you. Yeah, he's the A side.
Yeah, but you're forgetting Chris Eubank beat Ronald Quinlan for the IBO.
Oh, excuse me.
He carries that.
This is not even he's Billy Joe has fought in world level, man. Whereas Eubanks Jr. hasn't really
Eubank has names on his record, right? He has names, but where were those names at that time? Arthur Abraham, James DeGale. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they were shot.
They just missed time, man. It's just wrong time. But put him up there against a John Ryder. Let's see what he does against that guy.
He won't go nowhere near it. Come on now.
To be fair, though, let's not even discuss that because we're talking about Eubank at middleweight, right?
Yeah.
There's heavy rumors, Julius will know this, that John Ryder's next fight is Dmitry Bivol's next fight at 175.
Yes.
Yes. Heavy rumors. John Ryder Bivol.
Because look, the position that John Ryder's in right now, right? You got David Morrell, which is what was ordered, but David Morrell is very risky at 168. It's a very risky fight. So for taking a risk on Morrell for a baby belt, you go up and take a risk for a real belt. It's a slightly bigger risk. It is, it is, but at least it's for a real belt. Why gamble losing on Morrell when you could gamble losing with Bivol for a real belt? It's common sense. He'll lose though. I think Bivol will outbox him. It'll be fun. I don't think he'll knock him out though. I honestly don't think he'll knock him out.
Yeah, Bivol, he doesn't.
Yeah, Mark, can you tell me when? Can you tell me, Mark, when exactly did Eubanks Jr. look good? Because to me, I never really liked the style, man.
Arthur Abraham.
Arthur Abraham. How long was that?
When's the last time Eubank fought?
Last time he looked good was with Arthur Abraham.
When was
he
that?
looked good against. He looked good against James.
I don't even
But that was
count that.
2019. Arthur
Matter of
Abraham.
fact, you're right.
Julius
You're
is being a dickhead because Arthur
right.
Abraham was in July 2017. Eubank looked good against Avni Yildirim when he knocked him out in 3 rounds.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
I was getting my
By
wires.
the time he
You are right.
yielded
You are
him,
right.
he just.
You're right.
Oh
You
man.
100% right. Like, yo,
I'm
look,
s- don't
Anthony Durrell had to work to beat Avni. You bet Chris did knock his ass out. He did. He smoked him. So
and don't forget, Chris knocked him out in the 3rd round. Yeah, Canelo made him quit after the 3rd round had just ended. So Eubank did better against Yildirim by 47 seconds than Canelo did.
ow, that's 37 seconds of glory is what that is.
Glory. He beat the great JJ McDonough, virtuoso.
I gotta look him up.
He lost.
think
Look, the
Eubank
last
versus
person
Felix
who had
Cash.
something that could give him a fight had one
Eubank
arm for
versus
3 rounds
Felix
of beat him.
Cash. That's a fight. That is a fight. Eubank
Felix Cash and Eubank is a war. Let's get it. But he won't want that fight because it's domestic level. That's the problem here. This
didn't
goes
know
back
he
to
was
what
still,
we were
like-
talking about at lightweight, right? This is what we were
like
talking about at
domestic
lightweight. This is what people are talking about at 147 with David Avanesyan and Conor Benn. High risk, low reward fights. Guys who are in it, who think they're in the ascendancy in their career, they're not going to be taking it. And the reality of it is they were in an ascendancy and they dropped right back down due to inactivity.
Why is Florian Marcoux fighting on boxing next? I want Marcoux versus Ben. I think that makes sense.
That Marcoux versus Prodan fight was fun as fuck.
It was a good fight.
It was fun. It was enjoyable.
It's a good.
Tough
He
fight.
underestimated Prodan. He underestimated him. Prodan didn't come to lose.
He won that fight on his jab. He won it on. It was his jab that won him the fight. But like, if we're being honest, if you got into like full scoring criteria, that fight could have easily been scored a draw. It could have.
He didn't like fun fight, but he didn't look good. Fun fight though, but he didn't look good. He looked good in the beginning, and it looked like he was fading, like the pace of the fight was catching up to him. He's getting tired.
If Prodan had gotten his head off the line a little bit more and had worked a little bit more, Prodan could have actually won that fight. But he didn't do. He just let himself get punched in the head. It was annoying to watch. And the other thing Prodan needs to do that Conor would do, and you've seen this, Julius. Anyone who watched that fight is every time Prodan hit Marcoux to the body, that dude was ready to go, and he never followed it up. He does not like it. It's Keith Thurman 2.0.
I want a real answer, and I don't want anybody to dick me around. Does Fowler really have a chance with Beefy?
Yes.
South London?
Yo,
Does Fowler have a chance with Beefy?
no chance. No chance in hell.
No chance?
No chance. Everyone has a chance, to be fair. But I suppose he can just try and see what he can do. But I don't really rate Fowler like that. But we'll see. He can maybe turn it around and prove me wrong.
All right, let me read this super chat. Appreciate that, Michael Poe. I think Triple G should retire, but he's done with exactly what everybody is doing now, except people who put him in front of them. And he's just old, and he does need to retire. Don't need to see him. Well, I mean, he can still beat Murata. You know, he can still beat Murata, and Murata is a champion. So I mean, you know,
He could retire as a unified champion, making buku dollars out in Japan.
that's what I'm. Yeah, and that's what I mean. That he could have the fairy tale ending that Cotto didn't have, that Hopkins didn't have, that
Manny didn't have.
You know, a lot of guys didn't get to leave on a win. A lot of guys didn't, but he has the chance to. If he beats Murata in December, he has a chance to do that. So I mean, hey, go get him.
You know, it's a possibility that he could pass. You know, fight past the age of 40. It's going to be very interesting, chaotic.
All right, well, with that, gentlemen, I got to get myself dressed to take my kids to soccer practice. Y'all be easy.
All right.
God bless, man.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Safe, guys.
brother.
Bless.
Peace.